leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hooked on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck
Started
is the
off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hooked on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a
bit.
now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hooked on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits, yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. I'm Cap. Happy Monday, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. I did myself. Actually, quick reminder, or actually not even a reminder. I don't know if we've ever mentioned this before, but had it brought to my attention over the weekend. Someone asked, said, hey, we need to get this. We need closed captioning. We need to make it, so our Spanish speaking friends can, why they'd want to listen to this nonsense, I have no idea. But for our Spanish speaking friends out there, if you are tuning in, whether for the first time or you hear struggling through because not only do I speak broken English, I also speak at a very rapid clip. I realize this, and I'm saving everyone time. This is like a live show at 1.5 speed. Like I listen to all the podcasts I consume, I don't know, probably on average 7 days a week, probably on average like 20 to 30 podcasts, and all of them at 1.5x. And to a point where if like something happens and I log in from a different device or my Apple Podcast resets and it's just 1x speed, it blows my mind. Or I hear someone live on like their YouTube channel. I'm like, wow, this is how they really speak. It's challenging for me to listen to. So I do it to benefit all those who like the speed up playback. However, if English isn't your first language, I can understand how that could be challenging. All that being said, what I discovered this weekend is while we don't translate the show, YouTube does. YouTube auto translates for you. You can hit the little gear icon, change go to captions, and then auto translate to your, not just Spanish, but whatever language you'd prefer. And then make sure you click the CC button on the YouTube video itself, and it'll put, I know it does it on recordings. I believe it does it on live. Someone over in the YouTube chat this morning can confirm or deny that. If it maybe it's only available post-production when the show's recorded. But it definitely is then. I'm not certain whether it is while we're live or not, but maybe someone over there can tell me this morning. Speaking of the YouTube chat, GM Helpful Soul, Absolute Zero, Web3 Warhead, Mike Campbell, Blockmage, and Zane checking in from 30,000 feet in the air from his private jet, sponsored by Fartcoin. Man, like normally that stuff doesn't, I don't think twice about it. And then I think about maybe someone new listening in for the first time this morning, and one of my first comments is related to Fartcoin. And they got to be shaking their head wondering what they just got themselves into. Especially if it's a friend of my girlfriend who is wondering what she got herself into. Anyways, I digress. Fun weekend. Got to meet some new friends, as just alluded to. And I'm all in fact, I may have to find a soccer ball or some World Cup memorabilia or something to go in the background here. I did, as you can see down there, I got the new Mutant Ape poster framed, although I'm going to have to redo it. It doesn't quite fit the frame, so I did the white background, but it's not an actual mat. Anyways, I need to redo it because the OCD kicks in. But I need some weird World Cup gear or swag to get fully in the mood. And keeping it real, part of my enjoyment of the World Cup is the sweat, not just the Coffee with Captain bracket challenge that we did, which Joey, I see you tried to jump up. It's like, I didn't even attempt to add you. You're like, you requested and then fell back to listener. You might have to do a lap this morning. As always, open show here on Coffee with Captain. If you'd like to join the conversation, our primary distribution platform is X Audio Spaces. And for those that want to join the live conversation on stage, that's the place to do that. If you just want to join us in the chat, you can do that on X Audio Spaces, on X Video, on YouTube, or Abstract. But I do need some Lamine cards. Although the big question is Lamine even going to play today? Apparently, per his coach, he's 100%, but also may come off the bench. So it actually takes me right in. We've got some hot topics today. Markets are back. Markets are ripping following the UFC fight on the White House. I kid. They're ripping based on a potential peace deal, although it's really just like an extended ceasefire. We will see how this shakes out, but I think there might be something to this one because not only the market's ripping, oil is at its lowest price in a long time, and I think something could be the end might be near. We will see, but I am before we get into all things, Dort, is that you on the OpenSea header? Congratulations. If so, GG's. Love to see it. And but before we get into all things market, before we get into all things, this is yes, we are a market show, a tech show. We also lean heavily into crypto, and maybe the only place on the internet you can listen in to a daily conversation about NFTs. It's not the bulk of the show like it might have once been, but if there's anything happening in the space, we will almost always touch on it here. And a little bit of, they're not making it PvP. I don't know how to have the conversation without making a little PvP this morning. So we might get a little spicy. We might get a little Azuki spice with our coffee this morning. But we will definitely talk markets that are green across the board. We will touch on mostly, we're not going to get geopolitical or too zoomed out macro. Although there is Warsh's first Fed meeting this week, the new chairman of the Federal Reserve. Although markets right now have it 99% chance of nothing happening. So it's just going to be based on tone and what we might foresee into the future. Yeah, looking good, Dort. Good call by OpenSea to feature you. And I appreciate a fellow being up at 4:26 in the morning. I'm going to take that was this morning. Could have been last night, but you love to see it. Love to see it. But that said, in all seriousness, before we get into a serious conversation do NFT holders even matter? Some are asking. Primarily, I'm seeing some Azuki OGs asking. Some defending it, but we are going to have that conversation. I think really But I mean, for building a business, maybe not. Just like we had the conversation about brand coins yesterday or Friday rather. Maybe they don't matter. Maybe it's they mattered to begin to get the come out of the gate strong and essentially seed that startup capital, startup marketing, and it worked. And now that it's worked, it might have played its course. And maybe they don't matter anymore. Maybe NFTs are the same thing. I don't believe this. I think there's very few ways to generate thousands of brand ambassadors in your early days of building a business. And NFTs have absolutely proven that can happen. And now, after you've built those thousands of true fans, of raving brand ambassadors, you've raised your 6, 7, 8 figures for mint funds. Maybe you continue to lean into them and drive alignment, or maybe you decide they're more headache than they're going to help grow your brand, and you're just going to go build a business and they're an afterthought. It could go either way. I just think it's my personal opinion. I think it is an asset to have thousands of true raving fans and brand ambassadors, and an asset that you don't want to lose as you're building a business in a very competitive space. Just my quick thoughts. I have a feeling we might have a few other. I'm hoping it's not just a one-sided conversation as we get into this here in a little bit. I hope we have takes on both sides of this. Again, Zagabond and Figgy certainly not making it PvP. I'm going to show both their recent tweets, and they're somewhat polarizing in opposite directions. Anyways, I digress. Getting too serious early on. I'm loving the World Cup. Great. I mean, I guess I'd be remiss. I at least have to give the Knicks credit. Congratulations. Incredible performance in the finals. I still think, I mean, it's weird to say, but I mean, it's not weird to say. Wimby said it. They did. They dominated most of the finals. They were up 76% of the time. They had, in every loss, they had a double-digit lead. I think more than 12 or more. 3 of the 5 greatest comebacks in NBA Finals history are all the Knicks from this series. Like, just an incredible performance from the Knicks. As far as resilience goes, not giving up, something that I think any athlete, anyone in any sport can take inspiration from. In terms of just not giving up. I'm not going to go as far as say it was David and Goliath. The team is very talented. They put on arguably the best performance of all time in the playoffs in terms of outscoring their opponents, and just went on a crazy run for being a team that I know Brunson's a star. I guess you could say Cat is a star, although I think he had like 2 points in the final game. But he dominated as far as plus minus goes in the playoffs. Like they stars, yes. I don't know as if they have a superstar. And apologies in advance to the Brunson fans. You're talking to a player who was basically let go. The team that drafted him basically let him go for nothing. And again, they're like that chip on the shoulder. I think if it wasn't a New York team, I think that it would be a very different public sentiment around it. Like, it's like New York, and everyone's focused on, it's New York's first title in 53 years, and the city's burning down, and they're celebrating and rioting, and the good, the bad, the ugly when it comes to celebrations in a city the size of New York, and a team that hasn't won a championship for 53 years until this year. It's like, it's weird to say, but it's almost as if, I'm curious, like, any Knicks fans. Like, to me, it's like a very non-New York team. It's like a team of gritty Midwesterners that were the unheralded heroes that won a title. It's not the flashy superstars that you normally expect from the LAs, the New Yorks, the Miamis of the world. Rather, and just, I'm going to use it because it's close to my roots, but it's like a gritty Cleveland team that just grinded their way to the finals and found a way to win despite being down in every game. And so I do respect that. Before I move on to soccer, I'll let Joey get in here. I know a Knicks fan. Congratulations on the title. I do want to talk a little bit about World Cup and some actionable alpha, some ways to make money on the World Cup that I think I found. If you're new here, I never going to claim to be the best at anything or know everything, but in my life, in my adult life, I've been good at finding edge, chasing edge, and then taking shots on goal where I feel I have an edge, knowing that I understand edge, and that doesn't mean I'm always going to win. But if I'm 55% likely to win, meaning I'm better than that, better than a coin flip, and I take 100 shots on goal, I'm going to hit 55 of those. I'm going to win over a long enough time frame. And I also can embrace variance and know that most games of skill, anything sports related, whether you're talking straight sports gambling, sports betting, or where I prefer, because I think you can find more edges in like the DFS type games. I think it's real edge right now in the World Cup. They call them battle royale in football. It's just like a snake draft. So it's like very quick drafts. It's not DFS salary cap based. Maybe there's edge to be found there as well. But a lot of people have been playing soccer DFS for a long time. What's relatively new is the underdog battle royale type, the snake draft, where there's only 6 teams in there. You're only drafting against 5 other people. And it just, if you get the 6th pick, then you get the 6th and the 7th pick because it's snake draft. So the draft order flip-flops every round. And because it's relatively new, I think there's real edge to be had there. I don't know all these soccer players, but I understand game theory. I understand how these drafts work. I understand where to find edge. And so I'm literally having a conversation with Claude or ChatGPT. Actually, ChatGPT is my go-to for underdog, whether I'm doing MLB or World Cup now. I don't use it. I don't need it for football because I have way too much useless information in my head as it relates to football, including, and could tell you every team who they play in week 17 in this upcoming season. But when it comes to soccer, I don't know the players, so I don't have good player takes, but I understand game theory and structure, and had a good day yesterday. And I fired, like 4 drafts this morning for today's slate. And most people are just drafting by ADP. Most people are just taking the stars. For instance, Spain's a huge favorite today. And Joey mentioned I need some Lamine cards, and I do. I agree. Kid is an 18-year-old absolute superstar, but he's going at the 1.03 now. If he's fully healthy and guaranteed to play the full game, he's probably the 1.01 today. That's 2 other Spain forwards are getting drafted ahead of him, and then he's the 3rd pick. I understand taking him, but I think he's going at 1.03 overall because of his name value, because people know him, because he's a world superstar. I don't know because there's a chance he doesn't start, or there's a chance like Spain they're huge favorites. They should get up big today. And there's a chance that, if he's coming back from injury, he may not be in 100%, peak condition. So there's a chance he doesn't start, or if he does start after Spain gets up big, they very well could pull him and rest him the second half. So long story short, I don't know now I say this, it's also in range that he goes out and scores 2 or 3 goals today, and he's the guy you have to hit, you have to have. But I think he's getting overdrafted due to the situation. They're, Spain's pretty big favorites today, just as Germany was yesterday. And a perfect example. And then last thing, and then I said I wouldn't get into this. I know I'm already into it. While I go on this rant, if you're not into sports at all, or you don't care about the World Cup, you can go smash the reminders for this week. We're going to be announcing a new partnership tomorrow. Very grateful, big 12-month campaign kicking off. And while not exactly like a coffee with Captain, they're absolutely doing something for the space at large, in particular builders, with our first sponsored interview series. I shouldn't say first. We have done things like Ape Chain Architect, which the Ape Chain team sponsor builders on Ape Chain. This is our first broader sponsored interview series. So it's not a specific ecosystem or a chain. They want us to highlight builders in the space at large, and they're going to be sponsoring that. So it'll just be a quick, live read. They may be incorporated into the jingle intro video, and but it'll just be, as we're very fortunate to host leaders and builders and teams, subject matter experts here on the show. Often, usually the format is the first hour of the show is cold open like this, sports if there's something relevant, and then trending topics, news of the day, daily market update, and then often the 9 o'clock hour, we're bringing a special guest. No guest today, so we get a little bit longer than normal on the celebrating the Knicks championship and then soccer here, but football rather, I should start calling it. That said, yeah, Spain is they're minus 1,400 if you want to bet on Spain today. So huge favorites on the day, by far the biggest on the slate. And I will talk a little more about that, but I want to hold my thoughts because I actually don't know if Joey came up to show me on stacking some Lamine cards, this Miller Lite collectible match ball, or his beloved Knicks. Joey, GM. By the way, I just saw, I think right before I jumped on the show, I was doing my daily check-in to Facebook, and I'm not going to dox you. Not my place to share. But I saw a couple pics of you and the missus, and she's, no offense, she's always looked great. You're looking really good. The peptides, the working out. You're a good looking couple, sir. So congrats on the health and outkicking your coverage, or whatever the kids say nowadays. But in all seriousness, you both are looking great, and hope you enjoyed your weekend.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you. I actually finally got her on some peptides too. But she's in her Ella Langley era right now.
Oh, was that an Ella Langley concert?
Yeah, we were at the 5 o'clock Somewhere Festival Friday night, and Ella was the headliner. So it was funny. There was a bunch of people actually walked up to her in the outfit she was in, and were like, "Oh my God, you look so much like Ella!" And everybody, when we posted some pictures, people were joking in the comments like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Joey met Ella." But yeah, so we were at we saw Ella Langley.
I assume she's a good live show, I would guess. I've heard some of her songs. I listened to her. She did an interview on Theo Vaughn, which was good.
It was amazing.
I also thought 50-50, there's a chance they start dating. They seemed like have some natural chemistry and just joking. And I know Theo can be a little kind of awkward's the right word, but
Ella's single. There was all kinds of rumors about her and Riley Green and Theo, but I'm pretty sure.
So I wasn't the only one who saw the chemistry between her. I wasn't the only one who saw the chemistry between her and Theo, huh?
No, not at all. There was lots of people there were a lot of people talking about their potential chemistry. But yeah, it was a great show. She's very talented. She's a great performer. It was fun. My wife's birthday was on Wednesday, so this was kind of like a birthday present for her. I actually only went Friday. Saturday, she met up with some of her girlfriends and went, because I had a card show on Saturday and Sunday, so there was no way I was staying out that late 2 nights in a row. But yeah, it was a good time. And
nice.
Thank you for the compliments. I'm down from, since I started this peptide journey, I'm down from 210 to 192. But I'm stronger, healthier. So it's we don't have to detract from the current conversation to talk about peptides, but my DMs are always open. I actually got oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. He's a regular listener here. I'm not going to dox him. Actually, I probably shouldn't look up in my DMs. He messaged me one day after a show. I helped him with his first order, and now he's hooked. He said it's completely changed his life. And he randomly will message me in DMs and thank me. So this is not health advice. I am not a doctor. I do not work for the FDA. All peptides are still research only use. But if you have questions and you're looking to improve your health, whether it's just weight loss, sleep, whatever, feel free to DM me about.
We don't have to go on the rant, 'cause I know we got a lot else to talk about this morning. But one quick thought, one feedback or something I've been hearing or seeing that's starting to take, it's gaining a lot of. So I've heard a couple people mention this, almost like throwaway conversations but I heard one over the weekend that made a lot of sense. And I think this could lead to, I know peptides are already broken out in our niche tech bubble. I think it could send peptides mainstream. I mean, they're already, they're now, you had RFK legalize the compounding of them. And to your point, it's just a supplement at this point. There's no, so it's got less regulations, right? And so you gotta be careful what you're taking. Obviously seek an expert, make sure you're getting it from quality sources, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the hot take is we're seeing, specifically with the NFL, I'm sure it's in other sports as well, but specifically in the NFL, we're seeing players recover not just in record time, but coming back as good or better than they were pre-injury. There are exceptions. Seemingly the one exception this offseason is Malik Neighbors. He's the only one with this lingering. Is he fully healthy? Is he gonna start the season on the PUP, the physically unable to perform list, and miss the first 4 to 6 games? Almost every other injured player, and a lot of them that got injured, like at the end, Patrick Mahomes is a perfect example. Tore his ACL. I'm old enough to remember you tore your ACL late in the season, chalk up the following season, like you're out. It's at least a full year recovery, and then you may come back like half healthy. They're talking Mahomes might start week 1 now. It's actually looking likely that he starts week 1. You got George Kittle blew his Achilles late in the year. He's talking about coming back week 1. And while this isn't public, they've not come out and said this. The take is that these football players, these athletes, they're in, is it BPC 157? Is that the recovery one?
Yeah, BPC 157.
They're like, they all got to be on BPC 157 and probably others. But long story short, the talking heads are attributing this rapid recovery to back to full form or better than where they were before injury to peptides. And if we see this play out this year in the NFL and these stars like Mahomes comes back and he's healthy week 1 and has he's back to the number 1 quarterback in the league. And then one press conference, like, I was on BP, and they may not say this, but as of right now, none of these peptides are illegal in the NFL, as far as I know. They're not considered steroids. They're not considered performance enhancing yet. They clearly are performance enhancing. They clearly are helping with recovery. And yeah, it could go the other way, right? You could see these athletes come back, they're healthy, and then the league decides, hey, these are on the banned list, and you're not able to take these, and then that creates more of a like FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt throughout the normie population. Oh, if it's illegal in the NFL, probably shouldn't be taken. Some people would inspire them to take it, but that's the TLDR is, the speculation, rumor swirling that peptides are significantly aiding the recovery of these NFL injuries that coming back at just in record time.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with Jeremy Renner, the guy who played Hawkeye in the Marvel movies. So if you're not familiar with his story, he's also like a big farmer, I guess I don't know if you'll call him a farmer, but he's like he has a big property, and he's like, likes to go out and do things. And I can't remember if it was a snow. I don't remember if it was skiing or snowplow or something.
Yeah,
it was some
exactly.
big
Yeah, he was skiing and a snowplow crushed him. Big giant snowplow crushed him.
Something happened where he got literally sucked underneath the tracks of this big farm piece of equipment. I don't remember if it was a snowplow or what, but like literally sucked underneath. They thought he was dead. Like he was literally in the hospital on his deathbed, life over. Like no one ever, like it was crazy. And he's done some interviews about his recovery, and he attributes his recovery not just to obviously the normal health stuff, right, and the doctors, but all of the peptides that he got on post like release from the hospital to aid in him building back his muscles, right? Like you got to read the story. It was really bad, but he's very outspoken about the peptides he took during that recovery process. So, but anyways, I didn't mean to. But if anybody has questions, feel free to DM me. I'll share and give you some advice. And again, not a medical professional. None of this stuff is technically allowed to be talked about by medical professionals. But at the same time, there's things like ashwagandha and like all these other things that we take in our daily lives that are not FDA approved that people talk about all the time anyway. Yep. So like there's a laundry list of quote unquote supplements that are not FDA approved that people are talking about, that have been, people have been taking and talking about on social media for years. So don't be afraid because peptides aren't FDA approved. Like I can tell you where I get mine from, they're made in America. They're triple tested by third party. Like I don't buy like the stuff from India. No offense to India or China, but I don't buy the stuff from overseas where you just don't know. So again, if you have questions, DM me. But so two things why I came up. So the Knicks Spurs series, 72% of the series was led by the Spurs. 24% was led by the Knicks. 4% was a tie. So it's crazy to think that, a team that led 72% of 5 games still lost. And I attribute it to their youth. I think them losing actually we talked about this in the war room. I think them losing was actually a good thing, right? Like they're gonna learn from this. They're gonna be a better team. They just didn't have the composure and the experience to close games.
And not just
like
the youth
the
of the
Knicks.
team, not this young, like average age of like 22, 23, like their worst player
The
was the
national
oldest.
champion, the college basketball national championship team had an older average age than the Spurs roster.
And they had a rookie head coach. And I think that played a part in it. I think it was, some mistakes
There was
there.
definitely some questionable moves by Mitch.
Agreed. I did find a video. Historic Vids put one out on Jerry Renner and his recovery. I listened to an interview of his. I can't remember where it was, but it's really good. Like it's worth the rabbit hole going down.
Didn't he do it with Joe Rogan?
Probably so.
I think it was with Joe Rogan and with Theo Vaughn.
One of the two.
Talked about the peptides.
I don't listen to every Theo Vaughn or every Joe Rogan, but I will when interesting people are on. And I was familiar with Renner's story, but hadn't heard it as his words. So yeah, that was most likely it. But yeah, it's worth a rabbit hole going down. Really, truly remarkable recovery. But yeah, go ahead.
But and on the Knicks, like it's interesting, people, you're not the only one that said like the Knicks don't have stars, whatever. But here's the thing. There's only been 2 people in the history of the NBA that have won a high school state championship, a college basketball national championship, and an NBA finals championship. Magic Johnson and Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, LeBron could never.
I understand that, like, he's too small, he's this, he's that, whatever. Right. But like what the Knicks are like the Oakland A's. This is like a Moneyball team.
Yeah.
Right. Like the Knicks went out and they got players that fit a system that statistically, like when OG Anunoby was on the Raptors, he was a very sought after player, but he's not a superstar.
Yep.
He fills a specific role. Mikal Bridges, he was very sought after when he was with, I think it was at the Nets. Very sought after player, not a superstar, but he fills a role. Josh Hart, another guy, right? Like Cat was kind of a superstar with the Wolves, and there was like that falling out, and they were like, it doesn't fit with what we're doing with Ant-Man and whatever. But like this team was specifically assembled, and it feels like the Oakland A's, that Moneyball thing, right? They looked at players that had specific talents, specific stats, and said, if we put these guys together, the math, the formula means we will have a winning team. And we don't need a super team. We don't need, a Durant or whatever, a James Harden, right? Like we want guys that won't complain about how many points they score, how many times they touch the ball. They just they fill a role and they come together and win. And it worked. They were close last year. And I think the difference was Mike Brown. Mike Brown now has, I think, 5 championships, 4 as an assistant, 1 as a head coach. He's been to like 7 finals, right? Like, I think the difference, and, the roster is relatively the same, except for a couple bench guys as last year. So I think you have to give a lot of credit to what Mike Brown did versus Tom Thibodeau.
I agree. I think great hire, and Mike Brown deserves the credit. Also, 2 people I haven't seen get any. I didn't even know their name until just now, and it's wild how underrated they are based on everything you described. I agree. The GM now, I'm reading, the GM doesn't necessarily make roster decisions, rather just day-to-day operations, and their president of basketball operations, Leon Ross, is who oversees the personnel and roster construction. So, but the GM is Gerson Rosa. But I've never heard anyone talk about Gerson Rosa or Leon Rose, not Ross, Leon Rose, who's the president, oversees personnel and roster construction. But yeah, you very well assembled. It is maybe not at different analytics, but as far as a scrappy team that fits a system and obviously plays well together, 3 or 4 of them played together and won a national championship at Vanderbilt. Is that
3? Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson all played at Villanova.
Villanova. I knew it was a B school.
And Brunson actually won 2 national championships at Villanova.
That's
So
wild.
the guy just wins.
wins,
Like
yep.
they can say he's 6'1" or was 6'2", and he's this, he's that, but the guy just wins.
I agree. Yep. Congrats. Well deserved. Enjoy the parade this week. It's on Thursday. And
I will say I'm embarrassed though for the city. Like,
Yeah.
seeing the videos, like I don't understand why celebrations have to come to that.
it doesn't. It shouldn't.
It's the school buses being destroyed, random people's cars being destroyed. Like, I get it. You're excited, right? Like, that's fine. But like using it as an excuse for for it to be the purge is just not acceptable.
I agree.
Like,
Imagine you're a big Knicks fan. You wake up and you go downstairs.
People were shot. Like, it's not necessary.
I agree. You can call us olds if you want, but yeah, it's not necessary. There's other ways to celebrate without burning people's cars. I mean, imagine you wake up, you're a Knicks fan, you wake up, you go down and your car's been destroyed and you got to file an insurance claim. Joey, we will come back to you, but Jesus jumped up here, has been super patient. I want to get Jesus in here, and then we'll go back to Joey to finish whatever else he wanted to hit on. But Jesus, GM, always a pleasure. Been a minute since we had you up on stage. Hope all is well, sir. What brought you up this morning?
Yeah, GM. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
Nice. Yeah, well, I came up when Joey started talking about the peptides because Joey, I shot you a message because I wanted to chat with you about it because, bro, I've had this fucking shoulder injury for the last 2 months.
Dude, shoulders are the worst. Shoulders are. I'm sorry, Kenner Jacket. Yeah, I like consider myself pretty healthy. I work out every day. I'm not like some bodybuilder. I'm not some power lifter. But I lift heavy on not like heavy. I'm not trying to PR, but I'm pretty in shape. Shoulders are the one thing that just, like, right now, knock on wood, I'm good. But if I have to do like basically daily physical therapy exercises to keep my shoulders in shape, otherwise like tendonitis pops in, or just shoulders are brutal as you age. Sorry, go ahead though, Jesus. I'm with you. I can feel the pain.
It is. And for me, I can't remember how I did it. I think I did it on it, bro. It's the weirdest injury because I can move my arm all the way around. I have no issues, but it's literally like killing me from the top of my shoulder, and it feels like a rip all the way into my upper pec. So it's like, did I hurt my shoulder, my front delt, or did I hurt did I have a slight pec tear? I don't know. A friend of mine was telling me to get on the BPC and, I guess it's called a Wolverine stack and do the TB 500 with it. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, the Wolverine stack. People define it differently. It's BPC 157, TB 500,
yeah.
GHKCU, and some people include KPV in it. GHKCU and KPV are more for like anti-aging, like skin, hair, stuff like that. It's great. There's some mixed research on adding GHKCU with other compounds because of the copper in GHKCU. But I would, if it's just like shoulder injury fatigue, I would just say the BPC 157 TB 500 is the way to go. I wouldn't mess with the other stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And
but yeah, I just responded to your DM, but I can send you all kinds of research and personal experience and all that stuff, and we can talk about it.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Cause I mean, like a testament to peptides, like I got on one to lose weight like last year, Cap. Like most people wouldn't know. And like it.
Which one did you take?
It's just tirzepatide.
Yep.
And
the GLP-1.
Yeah. So like last year I was going through it. It was about a year and a half. You wouldn't know from spaces or post or anything like that. You put on a pretty good mask, but I was in such a depressed state. I gained so much weight. And then finally at the beginning of this year, towards the end of last year, I was like, something's got to change. I've already had multiple heart attacks. I can't keep doing this. So as of right now, I'm down 97 pounds.
Oh yeah.
And
that's awesome.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah. So I'm 60. And then I'll be back at fighting weight. But yeah, man. So but now I need to figure out something to do with this fucking shoulder because it's
so one bit of alpha shared in the chat, and I've also added this into my daily repertoire. is hangs, not trying to do chin ups or anything, just hanging, and try to. It's hard to build up to a minute. Like I can get there if I really push it, but 45 seconds after 45 seconds is tough. Like that last 15 seconds for me is a bear. So it takes some building up to, but yeah, just simply hanging every day is good for shorter recovery. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but it is.
Huh. That's wild. Yeah, I don't know how long I
And hanging's good because it's decompression, right? So like what people don't realize is gravity is actually it's obviously we know it's strong, right? Because it keeps us grounded. But the amount of gravitational force and the effect it has on your body long term there's a ton of research on it. There's a reason why people say like I'm shrinking over time. Like it's not fake, right? Like you don't just say that because you want to be funny. Like the way that gravity pulls on us. So that's why, there's those inversion tables, there's like all of this stuff to help decompress you. I mean, that's also, the benefit of chiropractors, right? They put your body back into the proper alignment. Especially if you're working out, the weight, like if you're doing squats, you think about that, like you've got gravity pulling on you and then you're putting 200-300 pounds on your back. You don't think that that's moving stuff out of alignment, compressing. So hangs are really great because it just simply releases everything. So gravity it has the effect that it needs to, and it just pulls you. And then you can get to the point to where you could put on like a belt, hang like a kettlebell or a plate, and then you could add that additional weight to get that even stronger decompression from just like a body weight hang.
Good stuff. Gravity is strong.
That has to hang. I don't know what I need. I'd need one of the like the ball pits in the bottom for when I fall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like a soft. You need like one of those crash pads.
Yeah, I need a crash pad, bro. I need somebody standing there like how they do in gymnastics and when they throw the pad underneath them.
Yeah,
like that's
Cap,
what I need.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that for health purposes. And then real quick, Cap, that World Cup ball, it never stays in stock for more than like a couple minutes.
Here's a flip opportunity
on it. If I get a notification, I'll ping you. And then if you're around, you can try to get one, but they're really hard to get. They're very, very collectible. I think if you go on eBay, you'll see significantly more than what retail costs on that thing.
I will, I'll pin it up top for anyone looking for a flip opportunity. This one is very real. It's Miller Lite is selling it for $20. It's a soccer ball that looks like a soccer ball. I mean, it's a soccer ball. It's got like beer cans coming out of it. It's a weird collectible, but it's selling for $20 and retail for $20, and it's reselling already for $400. So yeah, anyone looking for a World Cup flip opportunity, this is about as for Can you make more net dollars on some flips? Yeah, likely, but there's not a lot of $20 into $400 opportunities out there, and this one is flying off the shelves. That's pinned up top for anyone who wants to explore that. Hey, might you buy it for $20 and not be able to resell it? It's possible, but right now, at least during the World Cup mania, it seems to have all the momentum in the world. I know we ran a little long there on cold open as we got into fitness and peptide talk. And I do want to get into quick market update, and then we will. We're going to break down this Azuki conversation that has some people up in arms on the timeline. Before I do that, though, big shout out to Hans, the big generous Pingu tip over there, greatly appreciated, and Teacher Katie as always for holding down the abstract chat, and Block Mage Hope sending you best for that speedy shoulder recovery. We're gonna get everyone out here hanging. Maybe in a day. I sent out a text or a post over the weekend. I would love to do a trading competition with the twist of an AI trading competition. So instead of you competing with your trading skills, rather your prompting skills. How good can you prompt an agent to trade profitably for you? I said that probably not. Originally, I was thinking, everyone competitors or participants can put up like $100 of their own money. And then we get the thing sponsored and juice the prize pool. Whoever win or the top 3 gets some extra prizes. I probably can't do that compliantly, I guess. So it would have to be paper trading or some other form. I gotta look into the regulations about it. But Robinhood's not going to come over and sponsor exactly as I wrote it out there because it's I don't know, laws, I guess. I don't know why. Of all the gambling society we live in, why you can't have a competition around it, I don't know. But such is life. So anyways, we may do something like that. But if we can't do the AI agent trading competition, maybe we incorporate a hanging competition here on Coffee with Captain. Winner gets a month of peptides in an Azuki Elemental. How long can you hang? Just so you know, though, before you enter this hanging competition.
Should we give away a vial of BPC 157 and a silver claw pull for the person who records themselves hanging the longest?
That's it. That is the competition.
I'm hanging fucking for about 20 minutes. You're just not going to see the bottom.
That's it. Yeah, you can't see the bottom. Right now, the bar is set high. Mayhem is Riggs. It says 45 seconds is his longest so far, going for 2 minutes. But Mayhem's already at 1 minute and 45 seconds. That is, minute 45 may not sound like that long. I'm telling you, unless you're some featherweight, minute 45 is long. And I don't know for a fact, but I'm guessing just would make sense.
It just gets bored. After like a minute, you're like bored. You're like, what am I doing? And the clock just moves so slow.
Yeah, it is.
We got to listen to some good music.
Yes, even still, like I don't mind. Like I can make time. Like I can go ride for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even on a bike, and it goes relatively fast. 60 seconds hanging seems like an eternity. It doesn't matter what music I'm listening to. It is really, really long. We talked about Freddie doing his world tour.
It's like wall sits. Wall sits time just stands still.
Yeah. Yep. Freddie doing the World Cup World Tour, getting all these, become a full-blown influencer now. I was going to tie that to Ella Langley. He mentioned that it became his favorite as they were touring. Never heard of her before, listening to it during the road trip. And next thing you know, Ella reaches out and getting backstage for one of her upcoming concerts.
Did you see the one where they were? That's really cool. But there was also another one where he tweeted about how he was driving through Alabama or something, and the local radio station saw his tweet about how they were driving through, and then they got on the radio and said, "Hey, Eddie or Freddie, this one's for you. We know you're a big Ella fan," and started playing Ella Langley music while he was like driving through that. I think it was Alabama, but that specific part of the state. That local radio station shouted him out and started playing Ella Langley for him while he was driving.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm enjoying it. Also, I'm realizing that we don't give our stadiums in the U.S. nearly enough credit. The Europeans are loving the U.S. soccer or U.S. arenas, stadiums, and
they're loving the cheerleaders too. From what I saw,
all the World Cup, all these World Cup stories are like heartwarming. Like all like the Scots, like not the Scots. There was somebody that was in like Tennessee, and like these people in Europe getting to experience like all the subcultures of the United States, like posting about going to Raising Cane's or Taco Bell or right, like all these how they were supposed to walk. They were going to walk to the stadium, but then somebody like gave them a ride. Like it's really cool, like seeing all these stories come out from people about like just about how great our country is when you strip away all the like the nonsense and shit, and you like it's just heartwarming stories, and it's really cool to read.
I agree. Couple quick news headline news flyover. I'm not going to dive into it today. Maybe it'll be evergreen, so we might talk about it tomorrow. But Fox just broke this morning. They're buying Roku for $22 billion to build the next gen media giant. We will follow up on that, but again, that will be more evergreen. And I do have some thoughts, but we'll come back to that tomorrow as we're running a little bit long, and I do want to get into this. I see Poppy out there. Poppy, this would be a good one if you're able to jump up on stage this morning. We're going to talk a little bit here in a minute about the conversation around Azuki primarily. I'm not trying to make it PvP, but by nature, it will be a little bit PvP because I'm going to essentially compare Zagabond's take and the community sentiment to a recent post from Figgy. He's not making it PvP. It's me doing that, but just really kind of polarizing takes on how they're building in alignment with or not aligned with NFT holders per se. But I am excited to get into that. And if anyone else would like to join us, that's where we're going to be going on the other side of this break. I do want to get a quick high-level market update in, and I don't want to leave you all hanging. I said I found edge and alpha in the World Cup dailies. So the 6-team drafts. It's only today's slate. As I mentioned earlier, Spain's a huge favorite today. The top goalie going off the board is Spain's goalie. Just like yesterday, the top goalie going off the board was Germany's goalie. They were a huge favorite yesterday. I don't know the players. I don't have deep player takes, but I understand game theory. And goalies don't score that much. Might a big favorite like that? Might they have equity for a clean sheet and a win? Yeah, sure. But they're unlikely to get a lot of saves because they're a dominant team. The other team might not even get a single shot on goal. Well, they're just and goalies just don't score that much. So you're wasting an early draft slot when the odds are, the data says, one of the goalies getting drafted much later, even though they may not be as likely to win, they're one of them. It's harder to, you got to pick the right one, but one of them is probably going to score a lot more than Germany's goalie did yesterday, than Spain's goalie scored today. I mentioned Lamine is getting overdrafted because of his, coming back from injury. There's real edge to be found there. And if you don't know the players like me, this is a real life use case of where you can lean on ChatGPT or Claude and just talk through it. Now you got to be quick because you got a 30-second clock, but we'll save more of that combo for tomorrow. We'll make sure I'm not just crazy and I have another profitable day today. But yesterday was just on game theory, understanding the format and leaning into the player takes from ChatGPT was a profitable Sunday. And feel good about, just did 4 drafts for the show today. I feel pretty good about having an edge there. So all that said, let's get a quick market update in, just a flyover. We're not going to dive deep on any of these. And that will lead us into this Azuki. Not even Azuki. We're going to talk about Azuki, but it really boils down to, do NFT holders matter? Or is it just another customer segment? Does a vested NFT holder who's a brand ambassador, a supporter of what's being built, is that beneficial to the business? Or are the NFT founders and team and presidents, leaders, are they better to just go build their business and not worry about perks and utility for the NFT holders? Not worry about driving alignment, just go build a business and the NFT holders can come along for the ride. We'll get into that right after this market update. But this is the daily market update on Coffee with Captain. We'll be right back in just a few seconds and get into this green market and the highlights, and then we'll have this NFT holder alignment conversation.
Coffee brewing. Yeah, the market's in play, charts on the screen. What the numbers gonna say? We got offer in the cup every single day. Coffee with Captain, market update on the way.
Alrighty, we're gonna start with majors, and we're talking about a green morning. Holy moly! Bitcoin up 2% on the day to 66 after losing the ground the weekend. Really nice recovery there. Zonko just shared in the chat. Bottom is in. I'm gonna pin that up top if anyone wants to do some more reading. But a good article, and not just me saying bottom is in, vibes based bottom is in, but a real bottom is in with some data to support it. But ETH also up 5%, or not also. ETH is up 5% of the day to 1763. Big recovery for ETH. BNB up 1.5%. XRP up 7.98%, almost 8% on the day to $1.23. Solana up 6.62%, now up to 72. Hyperliquid, the big winner. It seems like yesterday they were back in the 50s, already back up to 67.89, up 11% on the day. Doge up 3% of the day. The big winner on the day is none other than Zcash, up 26% on the day, as allegedly they're using Mythos, which I don't know how, because I didn't think that was available anymore, but using Mythos to secure the network, and I don't know. We'll have to read more on that. I'm not the Zcash person, but big recovery nevertheless. Cardano out of nowhere up 10% on the day. Stellar up 11% on the day after a big week last week. Canton up 5%. Chainlink up 5%. You can go on, and almost everything other than a stable coin is green on the day. It is. Not almost. Everything is green on the day until you get down to World Liberty Financial. It's down 0.02%, and the meme core down 1.2%. So green day across the board when it really still gets. I did see there's something like 21 token unlocks this week. So before you go FOMOing into an altcoin, make sure there's not 8 figures worth of unlocks happening and you get dumped on this week. No guarantee that it happens, but just at least be aware of it. Looking at NFTs real quick, Pudgy's leading the day in terms of volume in the last 24 hours, up 2.7% to 4.65. Apes up 1% to 9.09. Hypers up 5%, in addition to Hype being up significantly. So big gain for Hypers over there. Punks up to 33.5. That's 1.7% up on the day. Mutants up 5% of the day. Non-playable characters, this newer mint, the big winner of the new mints, up to 0.08. That's 27% lift on the day. Blue Pets, another new mint, up 45% to 0.026. Milady's flat, down a percent to 1.15. Fidenza's up 8%. Little Pudgy's up 3%. Notable or noteworthy, I guess, the Pudgy Party is being sunset. Not Pudgy World, but Pudgy Party. That's the one that was they basically licensed their IP and it was built on another chain. So I don't.
That's kind of sad. That's the partnership with Mythical Games.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, I played it a little bit because my kids enjoyed watching me play it because, you know, obviously the penguins are cute, but it's kind of sad they didn't get the traction that they hoped they would. But I guess, I don't know. I mean, what does that mean for other, like, I mean, we've seen quite a few other Web3 IPs try to do mobile games and it hasn't been successful. So, like, is this just like a stop doing mobile IP mobile game? I don't know.
I don't know if it's stop doing. It's hard, very competitive. But I think it's probably not stop doing. Rather, if you're going to do a mobile game, go low cost. I mean, do simple. You know, we had on the Introverse team Gamify last week, and they're helping teams launch games. You've got, you know, the whole viral trend of 82-0 that took over the X timeline, or at least NBA X timeline a week or two ago, and then you saw a dozen of those spinoffs from MLB to NFL to college football. All those were built with Claude or Codex maybe, but I think most were probably built with Cowork. Yeah, they're ultra competitive. They aren't necessarily long term. So I think it's I think you're probably doing it wrong if you're spending 7, 8, 9 figures on a mobile game. Rather, you know, can you vibe code something that's fun and then maybe you catch lightning in a bottle. But I think I don't know. I think mobile games more so than a revenue source today in today's age. It's can you catch some virility? Can you get some eyeballs? Can you use that to gain more attention for your brand? But yeah, just in today's world, like, they're already ultra competitive, and you could justify they're going to be build a reason to believe they're going to be a lot more competitive as so many more people can build a simple game, a mobile game, and I would just lean into that. I keep it simple. Back to the update here, and then we'll shift gears. Reorder, they're up 19% of the day. That's Dario DeSienna's recent project. Normie's down a bit to down 8% on the day, but I think still up on the week, 0.455. A few other new mints that are still trending at or above mint price. And then last but not least, Good Vibes Club had a nice pump, up 6%. The Vibester token also up big over the weekend, following the news there on how they're going to be driving alignment. Azuki actually up 2% of the day, despite the, I don't know if call it FUD, we'll say critique and questions from holder base following a recent announcement, but up 2% of the day. And that's a good opportunity to segue into this conversation. If you missed it, let me just pull up Zagabond's post and we'll use that as a launch pad here. This was because I saw some people like ODG Farmer and several others that are OG Azuki holders, OG supporters, and they were rather critical of this take here, where it was in response to Justin Taylor said, it was actually prompted by the Pudgy Party sunset. Justin says, I keep saying how building IP does nothing for the actual NFT collections, and this is just another example. Pudgy, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Doodles, etc. are great when they focus on actual NFT collections and fail when they start to try and be a metaverse / gaming / TV shows / toys. I don't necessarily agree 100% with Justin's take here. It's nuanced, but Zagabond replied and says, you're right that it does very little for NFTs in the short term, but I do believe that building IP will bring value to NFTs in the long term. The good thing is there are many different playbooks that NFT projects are taking. If you're looking for short-term value accrual to NFTs, then there are projects out there focused on that. If you're looking for projects that are focused more on building long-term IP based off art that originated from the NFTs, then there are projects doing that as well. I don't believe in trying to do both equally well because you'll end up doing neither well. I know many disagree with me here. That's fine. If they start their own NFT project, I think they'll see firsthand how challenging it is. Lastly, I don't think that holders trying to impose what they want out of one single project is conducive to success. It'd be fair to do so if project founders were PvPing and asking holders to only support one project and no others, but I'm not seeing that at all. I've always been supportive of holders participating in as many communities they see fit, and I'm sure the other founders, the ones still left at least, feel the same way. He then quote tweeted that and said, I hear people say that projects need to focus on NFTs a lot. It's weak feedback because it implies that there's a successful blueprint for how to build a sustainable business off of focusing on NFTs when the data clearly shows there isn't. Hard disagree. I think there is. We called to just recently VFriends. VFriends is actually a perfect example to counter Zagabond's take here because VFriends building a real business. They're selling now on this top chromes, like it's top, not a VFriends raffle, it's a top chromes EQL raffle, and it's hard to get. These cases of their cards are very hard to get. Not a TCG, just a collectible card. Very hard to get. People were rushing. I went to Target last week on drop day to try to buy a box of VFriends cards. Couldn't get them. It's hard to get. You know who got them? VFriends holders. They didn't get them free, but they got guaranteed the ability to buy one. Some may say, oh, I hold this NFT and I'm still going to buy something. Yeah, they're building a real business. But that's the whole point. Like you know who your loyal customers are. It's one of the things NFTs unlock. You know, you can see your fandom on chain. You don't have to give them stuff, but reward them. Give them access. Give them a small discount. Free shipping, free pair of socks. I don't care what it is, but show an attempt, not say we're not doing this. Therefore, and back to quoting Zagabond now, therefore I believe projects should play to their own strengths, write their own playbook, be clear about their path, and then holders can decide if they want to be along for the ride or not. I don't disagree with that, but there is blueprints on how to be successful while maybe focusing on NFTs, quote unquote, isn't the right way to put it. But by focusing on alignment to your earliest supporters, and in the case of Azuki, supporters who you collected 8 figures off of mint fees, show them that you care. Show them that it doesn't have to be everything's free, but there's ways to show alignment. There's ways to support those that supported you. And I think, he said that it is a weak take. I don't think it's a weak take at all. It's weak feedback because it implies there's successful. It's not weak. It's valid. You have people that paid at mint 2.5 ETH or 2 ETH or whatever the Azuki mint was. Some paid $30,000-$40,000, and then I'm not in the ecosystem, so I don't have a stake in this one. But a lot of people I respect do, and they're like, it's a slap in the face. Like again, they're not asking to be given everything for free. I think one did ask for one asked for you could do a free TCG card, and you could, or at least give some sort of, if there's not demand, like if there's not enough demand that's going to sell out at retail, then maybe it is a free card. But if you have so much demand where the thing's going to sell out, at least let your holders get the product. Like that to me is like, it's not weak. It's like, it's a real blueprint. Like it works. Like why even have the NFTs? Now the answer, the counter, the Zagabond's reasoning why would be, over the course of the next couple of decades, we're going to build this into such a successful business, value will accrue back to the rookie cards, back to the NFTs. Okay, cool. Why not both? Would be my question. Why not both? Why can't you show alignment and build with your holders and reward them when you can? And it doesn't take a lot. It's not free stuff all the time. You don't have to host free events. You don't have to give away free stuff all the time, but a little bit, show some perks, show some advantage. You have the first window to buy. You're like, that to me is like, that should be table stakes. If you're doing a drop of whether it's merch or it's TCG, the first people that buy, or if it's not like with VFriends, they weren't the first, the tops EQL went first. And then like the next day, VFriend holders were able to go buy their pack, and they were basically, you're like guaranteed one. It was like, it's like an allow list. And if you hold the NFT, you're guaranteed. If you want to buy it, you don't have to buy it. But if you want to, you're guaranteed to get one. Wouldn't you want your brand ambassadors, wouldn't you want your most loyal supporters to get whatever product, assuming they want to buy it, wouldn't you want to get it in their hands so that they don't have to go on secondary and overpay for it? It just seems so obvious to me. I really struggle to even understand Zagabond's take there, especially when he says that it's weak feedback. I don't even understand that. Like, my brain just doesn't. What do you mean weak feedback? It is working. VFriends is building a successful, like the Board of Yacht Club. Those orders were ecstatic. There was only 50, but they raffled it instead of just a free for all. They decided to raffle it off to holders, and 50 people were ecstatic to pay, I don't know what it was, $120 for a cigar box with a few cigars. So there is very much so a proven blueprint. I don't know what your now is. Are the businesses profitable? That's a different conversation. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but when it comes to alignment and keeping your supporters happy, I don't know why you'd want to alienate them, and many were, quite frankly, alienated. I want to show at least one post to this, or one feedback, and then we'll get to the stage here. I appreciate everyone who jumped up to weigh in on this. But here is a take from, I don't know his current holdings. At one point was a whale in the Azuki ecosystem. I assume still holds some. But D Farmer says, except, this is in quote tweeting Zagabond, who said NFT holders will not scale the IP without the team making great IP first. I agree with that. He says, I love the concept of 1,000 super fans. They have to be super fans of the IP, though, not just of the NFT. Okay, I agree. This is an and, not an or. If you have those 100 super fans, those 1,000 super fans, you want to keep them as super fans. Show them a little bit of love. Here's one of those super fans, or at least was a super fan, says, except the IP doesn't exist at all without us. There's no Azuki without the tens of millions we gave for Mint. And no, this wasn't the image and trajectory that was sold. You raised from, catered to, and crafted the whole identity of the IP for and around the fact that this was a digital NFT collection, Web3. That Web3 did things differently. A FU to the old school, unaligned Web2 methods. That where we all raise and fall together. And boy, were we there when you fell over and over again. The Spirit DAO stepped up over and over again and being shat on. There's no Azuki today to build a POC. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a typo. Or I just don't know. After all that without us, the scandals, the fumbles, and now the NFT wasn't even good enough to get dibs or a effing special card on the TCG. That's pointed. That's a slap on the face. Felt like a proper FU to the very essence and origins of what this was supposed to be. Wouldn't have taken much to keep us happy. The imbecile fanboys that would have been for years. And by the way, the TCG is great. That's not the point, though. Again, my point is, I as an outsider in this community collection, anyways, I agree with D Farmer here. It doesn't take much. No one's expecting airdrops of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of magical internet money in 2026. What they'd like to see, what they expect, is to show that you care, to show that they still mean something to what you're building, to show that you still want to build with them, not just, hey, come along for the ride and buy our stuff if you feel like it. He asked for, a special card. Maybe there's a TCG exclusive card that only holders can get. Make them buy it if you want. Like, nothing has to be free. Or again, maybe free shipping's a cheesy example, but yeah, you buy a hobby box, you get it, your shipping's free for holders. I don't know. If you have big demand, just give them a guaranteed time to purchase them. That's Doesn't cost the brand anything. It's literally free to do. And you're at least showing an attempt at alignment. Is that going to make everyone happy? No. You do something like a gated drop, some are going to complain and say, oh, we should have got this for free. Maybe that's feedback that you feel is weak as a founder attempting to build a real business. But I think it's a weak excuse to say that there's not a blueprint that shows this work. Is DoorDash, is Zagabond out of touch? Do you think he studies what other brands are doing still? I don't know. I mean, I would think he does, but this response, these comments tells me he wasn't paying attention to VeeFriends. Because from my perspective, that VeeFriends community is stoked about this Topps Chrome drop. They didn't get any for free, but they're loving it. I didn't see a single VeeFriend. Actually, I did see one VeeFriends critique or FUD because they thought Whatnot was a scammy like infomercial type platform, and they didn't like VeeFriends selling on Whatnot. Teach their own, whatever. Like everyone can feel they're entitled to their own opinions, but I didn't see anyone with a nearly like a real supporter that's been a whale in the collection that was fudding the Topps Chrome drop for VeeFriends. Like, and OG D Farmer isn't the only one. There's several. I can pull up some more here, but I do want to get to our guests who've been super patient. We're going to go to Poppy first, and we'll get Zed in here. Poppy GM, always a pleasure. I have a pretty good idea where I think you netted on this just by having a chance to build a relationship with you and become a friend. And I see how you're leading this Quirkies, who has been one of the winners of 2026. And quite frankly, since you took the reins there, so I have an idea of your thoughts on this one, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Thoughts on this Azuki and Zagabond take here, and just NFT holder alignment at the highest level. GM, sir.
GM. I'm glad this was one of the mornings that I could swing in. I was talking last night to a good friend of mine who may even be on here somewhere. Maybe not. But anyway, I think when it boils down to it, he's probably one of the most passionate and dedicated Azuki fans. And we were chatting last night. And I was at one point pretty deep in the ecosystem and loved the art, loved the direction. But we go back to the very beginning, and I think one of the things there's like 3 or 4 things that are just, I think, bothering me about the situation. Number one, I mean, literally from the actual Azuki mint, when there were spaces with tens of thousands of people fudding and calling Zag a rug and all this stuff, which some people here maybe remember, some people here maybe came after. The community rallied and, had their back and took Azuki to 20 plus ETH floor. And that was the norm. I mean, Azuki was very much regarded as a top 3, 4 project in the same tier as a Pudgy and a Bored Ape. And had actually some of the biggest whales in the space because the Asian cabal loves Azuki, and Spirit DAO seemed like they had endless amounts of money, and then all those guys individually were buying as well. And so to look at the whole picture, zoom out and go, damn, like I think Azuki's like sub 1 ETH floor. I don't know. I haven't looked, but somebody said it the other day.
Like 0.85.
Are above Azuki.
Yeah, 0.8395 this morning.
Yeah. And elementals are what?
I don't know. They might have went below 0.1 at one point. I will
yeah. So I mean,
yeah,
just
0.079.
to see that kind of shows you the response. One of
Like,
my mentors when I first got into entrepreneurship said, if you build good products, people will vote with their money. And that has rung for me for a really long time, because I always think about that. It's like you can focus on floor price as a builder, or you can focus on the product. And if the community is in agreement with the direction, then the latter will rhyme to the flow. I mean, the greatest example of this is Figgy steps in to Bored Apes and well, just steps in as a CEO, and the reaction was a springboard. Everything starts moving, everything is alive, and that just shows that people vote with their money. The money was there. I think sometimes people say, "Oh, all the money left the space, all the collectors left the." No, I don't think so. I think the blind conviction, and I think people just throwing money around aimlessly left the space. And I think a lot of people are now in this place where if they're gonna move any liquidity anywhere, they're doing it with caution and calculation, and they're really voting on the right teams.
I agree. I think you're spot on. Now, you don't have to drive alignment. You don't have to build with an NFT holder base. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want. But if you want to drive, I mean, I think it's a miss, but if you want to drive short-term momentum, the market is clearly showed as of late, just use Figgy's example and Apes, that if you do that, if you show that your holders are important, the market will respond. Because I think you're right. The people that are still here, that are still collecting NFTs in 2026, they either one of two things. Like, okay, they understand this is a multi-decade play. If IP is really going to, if they're going to build the great IP, it could take decades for that value to accrue back to the NFT. Or if they think it's going to move in the short term, they know that it's going to, there has to be some sort of alignment, some sort of utility, some reason to invest in this IP today, as opposed to waiting another 10 years.
Well, 100%. And this is where the second part goes. I wanted to lay that out because I think that's like the 30,000 foot view. But then let's, you drill down to the facts, not opinions. I'm not a hater, just straight facts. $40 million, what, 2 years ago on elementals. And I think like, when I've seen these like grids that people have made, pound for pound, Azuki has raised the most money, or in the top tier of any project, especially off mints. and what does that do? What does that return value back, right? So when he first said, yeah, we're gonna pivot, we're doing TGC or whatever, right? This announcement came out. I actually thought, you know what, this is actually a solid direction, because if it's just PFPs, that's all that it is. Once you drill down, make the bodies full character, give them story and direction, then it's a brand. It's a brand. It could be a seed, but it's the seed of a brand. And I think that's where I would put us, right? I'm looking at our entire ecosystem. I'm saying, okay, this is cool. People like the traits and the PFPs, but we need to dive deeper. We need to, finish make them full body, number one, and then make them real characters with personalities, et cetera. And then we build the world there. So for me, that was my perception. I think the problem is that I don't think it's that he's not paying attention, because how could you not pay attention, right? I don't think, and I say this, I'm just going to say it, and people who know me will know it's coming from the right place. I don't think he cares, genuinely. I mean, the responses and the actions kind of align with that. I mean, you can, very low-hanging fruit. Let's go low-hanging fruit. The lowest hanging fruit. And they have the money to do it, okay? You can hire one of the very loved people in this space and create very simple things to outreach, onboard, like Welcome Apes. Welcome Apes was actually just people stepping up and saying, let's do this. These are like the lowest hanging fruit things in the planet. And you can pay a passionate person in your community a couple grand, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. They'll do it out of love. They don't care. These are just little things. So to not go down this deep rabbit hole of all these details, like, to me, the show is that it's just a non-care situation. And that's, I think, the most disappointing part, because, the fade off of any good project hurts the space. Obviously, there's collectors that are hurt. There's people that, lose faith and leave. And I think that the solution is, look, entitled to go build a business? Sure, you should. I mean, the bills have to get paid, right? Salaries, etc. I'm constantly thinking about how can we raise revenue without always selling, right? At some point, probably 4 or 5 times a year, there's opportunities to sell to your ultimate super fan base. Try to blend that in with people from the outside if you can, right? But then there's other times where you have to give. And I think this should be a pretty common concept. You think of jab, 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 right hook, right? A book Gary Vee came out with 10 years ago. You got to give a little bit. You got to blend the taking with the giving. And people in this space are, last thing I'll say, people in this space are very forgiving. Number one, I know we talk about how critical and how nasty people can be, blah, 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 blah. I think people in this space are very forgiving as well, for sure. And I think that people will ride the "what have you done for me lately" train because they know that it's a startup and it's a tough space. So it's fixable. But the reality is that people will pay for product. Think about Disney, right? We're Disney season pass holders because we don't live too far and we have a 2.5-year-old son. When we go, we get discounts, 10% here, 20% here. But it's not like we sit down at dinner and we're expecting a free meal or expecting to walk into the gift shop and get a free plushie, right? I walk in, my son wants a Buzz Lightyear toy, I'm paying for it. But because I'm a season pass holder, we get the 20%. I think that for me, hey, look, what I like more, sure, but I understand it's a business.
That's it. You nailed it right there. Like this isn't even a Web3 thing. This is proof. Like there is a playbook well before Web3. Disney's a perfect example of that. Like you now, if you didn't get 20% or any perks at all, you're probably not going to be a Disney pass holder anymore. Like it would make no sense. Like this is an and conversation, not an or. Sorry, go ahead.
Correct. No. I can round it up in 10 seconds from there. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's going to do a calculation in their head, unless they're just a super collector and they don't care about money, which is a very small portfolio of people like an Adam who just wants to buy stuff to support and on every transaction says, I don't sell anyway. I don't even know how to sell. I don't even know how to use my own wallet. So everything that I buy, consider it burned. Okay. So let's take Adam off the table, right? You and maybe Gary, and there's like a few people that'll probably never sell because they don't need the money. They don't care. Everybody else, whether they intend on selling or not, is probably doing a very simple mathematical equation in their head, just like the Disney passes, saying, hey, when these passes cost us $800 a piece, are we going to go 3 or 4 times? And are we going to rack up discounts to at least break even on it? And I when I'm building Quirkies, not like I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but this is just how I think. I go, if somebody's paying 1 ETH, how do they break even? Whether it's actual real monetary value or some other value that they go, this was worth it. Did they make a connection? Could they close a business deal? So yeah, it matters. And I think that you don't need to be one or all in on one thing. That's the bigger problem.
Yeah, I've got a Figgy post showed here. I'm going to read this quick, and then I'm going to pivot over to Thor because I do want to get the other side of this conversation. I saw we had Ira come up. Jed, I did say you're on deck, so we'll go to Jed quickly, and then I want to get Ira in here. I have no idea which side of the conversation, but I see the Azuki PFP, so I'm excited to get that take. Figgy, unrelated. I'm the one tying these two together and putting a little bit of a PvP spin on it. It's not to make it PvP. It's just to show when there says there's no playbook. To show a playbook and a market responding where Figgy says lots to accomplish this way. And by the way, if there's no pushback, if no one's uncomfortable, then you're not adequately growing people's ideas of what something can be. Meeting priority for the tour. He's on an Asia tour right now. 1, the holders in the community. 2, B2B and B2C partners. 3, media. Number 1, the holders in the community is the most important because a strong base makes the other 2 priorities easier in subsequent visits. Our job is to collect the best collectors. Me adding to this, easier to do that when those collectors feel that they're appreciated, they're rewarded when they feel there's alignment. It's my opinion, but I think there's enough data that supports that today. Also, when news about meeting of apes from around the world. There is a pinup demand for when and where Ape Fest. The other Thor posts I alluded to, I pinned a couple of these up top too if you want to read them in more detail. Thor is quote tweeting Seraph, who weighs in on this Suzuki debate. He says the 90-10 sounds about right. 98-2 definitely not. And yes, number one needs to happen in any case. That's a certainty. But also, which is basically what I've been laboring to say in the past few days, I would not underestimate the importance of the place that Azuki can cement in digital art, culture, and history, and the impact it can have, but also, and more critically down the line, on the IP, on the long-term success of the brand. The digital art renaissance movement is real. It would explode at some point. Could be 2 years, 5 years, 10, who knows, but it will. Azuki is, among the PFP collections, one of the most arty collections. It has a place no matter what, but it can cement it as a preeminent one. Taking a step like having an OTC Grail desk, which can be self-sustaining treasury-wise, can go a long way to secure that place. As per one of my other posts earlier, the Punks OTC operation has been critical for Punks, and the Yuga Grail OTC desk has been very effective already. Cementing the place in digital art will make the IP stronger down the line and keep the team and holders joined up. It will make number two an evidence once number one has been a demonstrated success. There are also many very small but cool low-hanging fruits that can be achieved with a 90-10 balance. That's why I think this is important. It's also why I'm optimistic, and that's my take as well. It's not an either or, it's an and. It's you don't have to have 90% of the focus on NFT holders. 10% goes a long way. What I feel pretty strongly is the wrong approach if you're leading an NFT brand, an NFT native brand, is ignoring your NFT holders. You're going to lose some of those people that are very hard to get. There's a lot of Web2 brands that would love to have brand ambassadors, especially in their startup years, as many NFT brands are able to develop. And I think it's a miss to ignore that. But that said, Jed, go ahead and get in here, and then we'll bring Ira into the conversation. Looks like we might have lost it, Jed. My apologies there. Maybe take a quick lap, and you might need to leave the room, and we'll get you back up here. Ira, GM, appreciate you joining. What brought you up this morning? With thoughts on this? Not to force you to take a side, but very curious, how you feel on weighing in on Zagabond's recent post and the conversation around it.
Yo guys, hi everyone, and yeah, thank you for letting me speak. And my side is pretty clear by my PFP, and to be honest, I already understood it's just like talking with the wall when you're talking with the people who are unsatisfied by Azuki and everything. And I don't understand myself how grown as people don't understand some simple things, because it was like half a year ago, if not more, when we all hang out in the space. Loki were here, Hunt were here, a lot of people were here, and they all were speaking like Azuki direction is not clear. And I'm like, how it's not clear if guys made it super clear that for Azuki the most important part is IPs. Azuki will work on making IPs world famous. That's the main goal. And Azuki since then working on this. And people right now asking why you don't do this, why you don't do Azuki sales bot or whatever. And they you spoke on this on 50 minutes ago or something, guys. But to make this, you not you can't just hire one single person for $2,000, as you said, because Azuki care about quality. If you're working in a big team, and I'm working now in a big team, and I think everyone again should have this experience at least, you understand it's not possible to only hire one person to make a good job. You need a team of people who will be working on what you guys asking. And when Azuki main focus is to build IPs, and they starting with TCG. Azuki isn't TCG brand, it's not TCG company or whatever people speaking. Azuki is an IPs brand. And right now, one of the steps to make this IP famous is TCG, then manga, then anime. And everything Azuki doing is this side. If you're asking Azuki right now to distract their attention, to pay attention to the holders, okay, but they will need a team for that. Zagabond control. They will need all attention on this as well, because everything Azuki doing during like 4 years they are in the space, it's all high quality. That's why you all love this Azuki collector's profile and everything that Azuki did and with who Azuki collaborated, because it's all high quality product. Okay, back to now and how Azuki and why everyone also saying like, oh, Azuki, don't support community, don't support community. Are you supporting community? Are you in the community to say that? Not you are, not you're not. Because I'm running my Azuki roundtable streams every week on Monday. Azuki team supporting that. We have a guys who made the main war challenge, whatever challenge communities creating, Azuki supporting that. Not only with words, with money. What else project supporting their holders with money? Not a single project probably.
There's a few. There's a few.
There's a few. Okay, I'm happy for them. I want to be part of it, to be honest, because I'm happy that Azuki doing that, and I'm like pretty satisfied. Holders from every side. And community right now, like for example, in TCG, we have a huge, very active Discord that gaining us new audience daily who become interested in Azuki, who purchase it Azuki. And people who writing all this stuff about Azuki, they are not in the community right now. They are not participating in any that I mentioned just now. They are not interested just because they are offended, because they want only previous group of holders were happy. But previous group of holders, they built nothing. They used Azuki all the time. They were in gold times for Azuki. When Azuki were famous, with Azuki PFP, you could do whatever because you had all the attention of the space. They received a lot of airdrops, not talking about Azuki airdrop. I'm talking about in general, how many allocations Azuki got just because of their PFPs. A lot. And they could build many brands that won't rely, on holders' purchases only. They made like mostly projects that that depend from purchases inside the community. That's what their mistakes as well. And right now they're all crying and they're all missing old team, old holders, old atmosphere and everything. When guys, we have the atmosphere, you just not participated in that. And we have project support and you're not participating in that. And every time, like guys, believe me, I have a lot of friends inside the Azuki community and I try to talk with everyone about that. And not a single one told me like, clear opinion why Azuki is not writing that. Because Azuki is clearly care about community, but the main focus is to make this business sustainable. That's I can pass mic to whatever.
I think, well, first of all, I appreciate you coming up, appreciate adding your perspective. It's very helpful because I agree with a lot of things you said. And it's awesome to hear that they are supporting your space. And I think like when I talk about alignment, I'm not, just to be clear, I'm not expecting any of these NFT brands to give a bunch of free stuff. Like, but I think what you described is part of what I think alignment means, is supporting your brand ambassadors, supporting those who have supported you from the jump. And it doesn't always mean magical internet money airdropped or free free TCG cards or any of that. That support goes a long way. And you're right, for those that aren't in the community, like myself, we don't always see that. Quite frankly, we probably don't even go here this morning, probably not even having this conversation if it wasn't for seeing some posts on the timeline from some holders, some community members that were pretty critical of some of the recent language. That's what brought it under my radar. Is like, this is so it is on both sides. I just want to be clear. There's some like Ira that are think they're doing a great job, and I also agree with the focus. Like they shouldn't be focusing on their NFT holders solely. They need to focus on building a TCG, building the manga. That is those markets. All of them. There's 4 of them that are much larger, significantly larger than the entirety of the NFT market. So I don't think it's something this should be the sole focus. 90-10, somewhere like 80-20. I don't know the exact split. To Ira's point, there's a cost there. If you're going to focus on your holders, you're probably going to have at least a person, if not a team of people, but I don't even know if that's necessary. I do think there's ways like supporting your show. I think that's one way. Other ways, and I did pin a long post. I'm not gonna read the whole thing for sake of time. I want to get to all these hands. We'll get. I saw Jed back up, so we'll go back to Jed. Then I want to get Achilles in here, who I know has been in that Azuki community. We'll go back to Poppy. And Loki, if you want to get on the conversation, feel free to join us. Just throw up a hand so I know we'll get you as well. And for that matter, if anyone else wants to join, feel free to throw a request to come up on stage. One of the things that Seraph says here is the loudest holders left are largely the OG NFT holders, 21, 23, who were here for a fundamentally different era than what we are in now, described above. Expectations for the most part, yes, there are some reasonable ones left, are carried out from this era, which simply don't exist anymore. We can't pray this back in existence. I'm one of those, just a low-key idiot. So I think that is a real challenge. While we can have some people with measured expectations, I like to think myself as one of them, that I'm not expecting for an airdrop every month or a bunch of free stuff, but just the showing of support, showing of alignment, showing that you matter, whether it's a free shipping, a discount, support, like the support you get from the Azuki community. I've been a member of the Bored Ape Yacht community since launch. And I part of the reason I continue to be, I've got a lot of friends there, but I also get a lot of support from that team. I see Shipping out there and almost every, James Hall's out in the audience every day. And if I ever want to have one on the show, it's like I can DM Figgy and he'll join the show. Like that matters. Like that stuff's important. It matters to me. I know I'm not the only one. So alignment and support is more than just financial perks, rewards, free stuff, gated access. But I do think there's an and there where they can focus on building the TCG, building the anime, growing a real business while doing so, remembering those earliest supporters and just thinking, okay, we have this TCG drop coming up. Is there a way to incorporate some sort of alignment or support for our holder base? I think, now, again, some may have expectations that are not realistic in today's age and think that they should get a bunch of free stuff. That's just probably not realistic. But I just think there's somewhere in the middle there where the discounts, like I saw there was a lot of conversation too around rev share or profit share. And that's a whole nother conversation. That's very challenging. Although I would say that our friends and partners over at Unvault, they've built a solution that can enable that. For those that want to go that route, there's very real ways to do that today. They're legal and compliant. And there's ways for the community to win in the upside. There's also, I would push back on one of these bullet points here where Surf says there are no royalties. And even if there were, that's not enough volume to make it worth it. Hard disagree. Perfect example, case in point, is Good Vibes Club, who is newer. Their floor price is about half that of Azuki, and they've made over $2 million in royalties in the last year. Now, they're not sharing those royalties directly with their holders, but they are reinvesting a lot of that back into the business. I adamantly hard disagree when the take is that there's no royalties left and there's not that much volume. There absolutely is royalties left. There absolutely is volume. Poppy's another great example. Crookies was one that moved to a royalty protected contract early. They were one of the first to do it. And I don't see the daily or the weekly report anymore, but I'm going to guess they've made a solid 6 figures since Poppy took over in just in royalties. Like that matters. Like that's real rep. While you're attempting to build in competitive markets and you're building a startup brand in something like TCGs, royalties can help you get there. Royalties could, if nothing else, you don't have to share the royalties. You could use those royalties to hire that team member that is your community liaison, that is your membership liaison, your whatever title you want to put on it, someone that their job is to help the community feel welcome and supported and drive that alignment. I've got some other thoughts here, but I do want to be respectful of everyone's time today, and I want to get through these hands. So let's go. We'll go Jed, Achilles, then back to Poppy, and Loki, if you want, or Machiavelli, if either of you want to get in here, let me know. But Jed, thoughts on this conversation this morning?
Man, I'm so glad you said that. First of all, yeah, royalties. $2 million in royalties is nothing. It's cash flow to help run the business. That, when I see people say that and they realize the projects out here building from zero, just frustrates me. I just want to say a couple quick things, because this is a very passionate conversation. I'm going to try to keep it short. One is, the one thing I respect about Zagabon is he had a vision for his brand to be like this high-end luxury brand. He hasn't really, put that at risk. He's selling watches for 80 grand, ski boards for millions of dollars, whatever. I respect that he has a vision for his brand, but I don't know, just from the elementals drop alone, re-rinsing the art and making $40 million, they were the NFT project that made the most from their holders, not their VCs. Um, to think that you don't, the ethos of Web3, the entire ethos of Web3, in my opinion, the two biggest points are: one was access to founders, and two was some kind of alignment with holders. That to me is the two biggest, by far, important things of Web3 that attract the most people here. I haven't seen Zagabond on a space. I've called him to many spaces. I've seen every other holder on space. Figgy just took over. He already texted me like he would be on a space. Like, I have never even gotten a response from Zagabond to come on a space. I don't know the last time he was on a space. And I think that's bullshit. Like, and that shit about being too busy, that's just like the oldest, bullshit in the book. And I'm not saying he's got to be on a weekly space, but like once a month, once a quarter, just be out here, showing the holders. And then, I mean, obviously, like Poppy said, people vote with their wallets. I mean, look at the price of them. Another thing, I don't know where you are, but I'm in New York City, and I know people that are really into the TCG, and the TCG events in New York City have 10 to 15 people. Why? Why is there only 10 to 15 people at these TCG events? And these are really like, they're really into it. They love the whole aspect of the game. They go to every one, but I think the most they ever said was that one was like 25 people. That kind of shows like, the sentiment of the brand. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not rev share. Maybe it's, like you said, Kat, it just has to be something, right? It's got to be. I mean, I own a restaurant. Like, I give every single customer, uh, a piece of cake, an after dinner drink, and that's about retention, right? That's the retention part of the business. Like, customer acquisition is one thing, but retaining people, that's just basic business. And to think that you don't owe these people that minted your re-rinsed art collection and spent $40 million anything, to me, that's fucking insane. That's insane to me, that he thinks he has zero responsibility, zero fiduciary responsibility to those people. And to me, that's what is going to push a lot of people away from Web3, not bring them closer. And I'll bring up just one quick story, and he's going to get mad at me for saying this, but I don't care. Warner and me had a conversation one day, and everybody knows Warner. He hit up Zagabond. He was going to buy, a few grand worth of the TCG cards, and Zagabond didn't even respond. And Warner's like, I don't care. It's no big deal. He doesn't have to respond. We're all entitled, here. I'm not like, no, bro, that's bullshit. Like, that was what this whole fucking place was built on. And if you're going to drop $5 grand on TCG cards and he doesn't have the time to DM you back, man, why would you want to support that? I don't know. I'm just cut from a different cloth, man. I'm cut from the Poppy cloth. I watched him move, and I look at him as a mentor, and I think that's the type of people we need leading in Web3, and that's what this whole space was built on. Because if you told me, oh, you want to crowdfund this business, but you're gonna have absolutely zero perks, zero anything, you're just gonna be a super fan and not receive anything, I don't think one single person would be here right now. So I'll just land my plane there.
Yeah, it's a lot there. Like, as far as getting on spaces, or like, it's tough responding to DMs. Like, I'm not one to to comment on that. I'm the worst at responding to DMs, and I feel bad every time I then see not a group message, but a real one that wasn't just one-on-one DM to me, and I missed it, and I go back to send that person a DM like 6 months later. I'm like, I'm a jerk. I feel bad. Like, so it's hard to it's hard for me to pass judgment on that.
Gary V gets on spaces. Adam gets on spaces. Everybody here is busy. Everybody has lives. I'm not saying that, but like once a quarter, you can't get on a space. Like,
Yeah.
When's the last time Zach was on a space?
I mean, he's been on them. I don't remember the last one, but he's been on them. Iris saying, hey, they're supporting the spaces, their shows, like, that matters. I just I do think in a lot of us came here and got excited about NFTs because it was different. It had at least the hopes of something different than just the traditional Web2 way of building a business. And while, yes, most should and could acknowledge there's no equity stake, there's no profit sharing, there's no dividends, we felt that we were part of what was being built, and that we were appreciated, and that when there was an opportunity for access or rewards, like we would be the first in line. It was a new and improved way to, a loyalty rewards program. It was, I'd look at Steve's book, The Everything Token, and a lot of the things him and Scott talked about years ago still hold true to this day. Like it's a better way to identify and reward fandom if you use the technology, if you use these digital assets. It's not just a collectible. That's part of it. It's technology and proof of said fandom. And if you're not going to lean into that element of it, why even have an NFT? Why not just do a Kickstarter and raise funds that way, or do a friends and family round, or do a traditional seed round, or there's a lot of ways to raise funds. And I'm not saying that there's no obligation to show alignment and to drive value back to your holder base, but why not? That's where I just get out. I was like, why not do that? At least make the attempt. At least show the alignment. It doesn't have to be financially, a financial reward. Those might make sense from time to time, but I think there's a lot of ways to show intent and that the holders matter. And that stuff carries weight here. It does, especially to those that remain. Might there be less relevant NFT collections today than there was in 21, 22? Yeah, sure. But those that remain, I think the collectors, the active participants, they've been pretty vocal about these are some of the things they're looking for. The whole like building in public thing wasn't a meme. Like it was real, and it carried a lot of weight. Achilles, go ahead, Jed. You want to get back in here, and then we'll go to Achilles.
Yeah, I just want to say one last
Appreciate
thing.
it.
I'm sorry, Achilles. Just one last thing.
Noise.
I think that the mic drop right there was, why even build in Web3, bro? Seriously, if you're gonna just build, the traditional way and not have just go build in Web2. You should have just built Azuki in Web2 if you had no intention of, including the.
Yeah, and if people love the IP and they want to support and they can go buy the collectible card and sit on it for a decade until it accrues value. But in that world, the downside of that is the business, the team, they have no idea who owned those cards. Like they can maybe see someone talk about them on X or a social media app, and they just trust that they actually hold those cards. And it's not, a photo they right click saved, or they created with AI. There's no debate when it comes to the on-chain data. Like you can see who your true fans are. Like lean into that, like lean into the technology. Actually, I don't even care what it is. This is my personal opinion. I'm not expecting free stuff anymore. I'm not expecting magical internet money. What I just want to see the intent. I want to see the effort. Whether it's, we have 50 of these cigar boxes. Because you're a holder, you get in the raffle. Cool. That's intent. Now, I'm not even a cigar smoker. I don't care, but I appreciate the intent. I appreciate the attempt at driving alignment. Achilles, thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like Cap, I got like this conversation is like keeps on coming like every couple of months, and it's frustrating, to have this to have like to witness this feeling of, or this kind of fatalistic approach to everything that we're going through. I mean, when one of the top holders, and again, I love Azuki. I still hold my Azukis. I'm buying stuff to collect because I love the art, and I don't care whatever the price is. I don't fucking care. But I get irritated when one of the biggest collectors, a Spirit DAO collector, just buys a Spirit Azuki, one of the like rarest Azukis, and then in his post just mentions that we have an issue. Literally the sales bot is not working. The sales bot is not working, and this is basically, this kind of, in a way, summarizes what all the OG holders, the ones that were there early on, that are not looking for, and I totally disagree with the fact that the OG holders are looking to get rewarded and were ripping Azuki and wanting things from Azuki. I was there from day one. And I know I was going into spaces, enjoying the vibes and enjoying everything that we were doing without expecting any fucking reward. Nothing, zero, no airdrop, nothing. The check your wallet event was a surprise, and we all wanted to feel it just for the feeling of it. No one was looking for the $5,000 bean, or I mean, no one from the people that I know that were going on spaces constantly, every day running spaces for Azuki. And I know these guys by name. They became friends. I visited them. One of the artists in Azuki sent me his album that he produced literally to my house in Dubai with a handwritten note, literally like talking about like his story, his life. It was life changing. And I feel that like a lot of people are mixing up things in this space. No one is looking for reward. No OG holder, no real passionate holder is looking for reward. Look what happened with Figgy. Figgy came along. He did not offer an airdrop on day one. He did not offer like come get discounts, come let me give you money so that you join our family. No fucking way. He just said, we're gonna appreciate those collectors that are gonna run after rare traits, because this is normal, this is art, this is visual, this is why we love doing what we love, this is why we love collecting, this is the core feeling we share as collectors, and I'm a proud collector in this space. That's number one. And he said, I'm gonna be with you guys, I'm gonna be on spaces, I'm gonna communicate with you, there's nothing wrong with it, and we're just gonna chat. We could disagree on things, but we could just chat and be there. And to the point of like not answering, I mean, with all due respect, Gary V was chatting with me for 5 minutes on a DM. The guy's like literally has like 15 million followers, I don't know how many, and he's like all over the place. He has so many businesses running. To take the time to chat with a VFriends holder in chat and literally ask me about my day, like Gary V literally asked me about my day, me, like, who the fuck am I? I'm a fucking holder. That's it. I'm just a holder. And the guy literally DMs me asking me about my day. He could not care less, maybe. But the fact that he sent the message just changed my day, made me feel much better, because I felt, oh, hey, I'm part of a family. I'm with this founder who's not doing it for just the money or for just the business. And third point I want to mention is that fatalistic approach saying, yeah, so we need to find money, we need to find revenue, and this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna drift back to one thing. I mean, with all due respect to all founders, I'm a founder. I've launched my legal tech startup that got funded by 500 startups, that got a follow-up from Sequoia, that got a follow-up from Mubadala in Abu Dhabi. So I know a bit about startups and about revenue generation and how to get revenue streams, to tell you that revenue streams are not the goal. Solving a problem is the goal for any startup, for any business. And all the startup founders in this space will relate to what I'm saying. It's about literally solving a deep problem. And once that problem hits product market fit, it flies, it scales. This is the core of everything we do as founders. Solve a problem. And what Azuki can solve is a lot of the problems that the TCG industry suffers from. And I was talking about that, Cap. I went to a TCG event to continue on to add on what you were saying. Literally, the guys were complaining about fucking fake cards each day, every day. They were receiving fake cards, and they were struggling with trying to prove the authenticity and the provenance of it. Every time they were buying a card, they were scared as hell. I even shared a post of a friend of mine. He's in Monaco. He was there for the Grand Prix. And the guy literally purchased a fake Patek Philippe for 195,000 euros. Turns out it's fake. And you like, am I gonna get convinced that Azuki's like art with this dope art and the angle for TCG and manga and story, which is the first thing that comes out when you want to launch a TCG. I mean, I'm not the expert, but I got excited about Dragon Ball because I read the story of Dragon Ball, and I got like passionate about the characters like Goku, Vegeta, all of those characters. And this is when I started buying the cards. And so I cannot get convinced that dropping Web3 is a solution. I cannot get convinced that dropping those guys that were so passionate about the art and so passionate about this project would be the solution. So I really think that, in conclusion, I really think that there's an angle to have combining Web3 and TCG There is no way that these two could be so like divergent. This doesn't make sense. Number two, like communication is very important. It's super important. And no one can argue that. No one can argue that you just disappear and then do your stuff. Not saying that Zagabond disappeared. I'm just saying that in general, like just the lack of communication is hurtful for a community. That's number two. And number three, last, sorry to have taken so much time, but lastly, I really think that OG holders were really in love with Azuki. I am one of them. I collected like so many things from holders to the point like I literally have a full section in one of my rooms for Azuki. So I disagree that we were just trying to farm Azuki or get things from Azuki.
I really appreciate you joining. Appreciate your take. It's very measured and makes a lot of sense. And to your, like, the one thing I really want to double tap on, and then maybe go back to your response and we'll go Poppy and then Blue, is you mentioned like building a business. If you tend to be successful and last for decades, let alone, you know, a few years, it's not just about generating revenue. You know, to really generate sustainable revenue, often, almost always, you need to solve a real problem. And to me, that's one of the huge advantage of NFTs in many industries. We talk about fandom and proof of fandom. Like there, I think just that alone, that transcends across almost every industry, at least that has consumers involved. Every D2C industry, every one that you've got consumers buying stuff. The proof of fandom, I think, matters. It's a better way to track loyalty and reward fandom. You talk about TCGs, it's a real problem. It's a real problem that NFTs solve as far as authenticity. And is this a real card? Not only is this a real card, but the cards carry value. And finding I know there's other ways today. I'm not deep in the Magic the Gathering streets or any of these, you know, current TCGs, but my understanding is they do have. Often the players won't play with the real cards. They don't want to damage them. Well, imagine if you not only had a digital counterpart that proved authenticity, that proved you own it, but it's a better way to mitigate against fakes. It's a way to prove ownership and to play a game. So like I know one of their goals is to become a top 5 TCG, and so like that's impossible. Who's going to get there? Like it's such an established. Well, again, I'm not the TCG expert, but I have a chart pulled up here from Q4 2025. Number 1 is Magic the Gathering, you might expect. Pokemon's number 2, although they have Pokemon Japan is also in the top 10 at number 7. One Piece is number 4. Yu-Gi-Oh is number 3. Riftbound 8. I don't know when they came out, but it's a new TCG. It's number 5. So if Riftbound can do it, you can't tell me that Azuki can't get there. The art is good.
Yeah, I mean, Cap, they can. They can. This is the real problem. As you said, like the proof, the provenance, supply, and authenticity, those three concepts are a unique value proposition when you're trying to get into TCG. That could be a UVP. That actually could be like something that is special about Azuki. And Azuki is like perfectly positioned when it comes to the art. I'm still every day I buy a or a bean. Art for me is an iPhone moment. For me, the Azuki art is an iPhone 1 moment. I mean, at least for me. I'm not saying that this is not a generalized thought, but just for, like as a collector. And so to not get convinced that we can literally play that angle and say, hey, we're launching, for example, I don't know, like maybe blockchain backed, powered by someone in the space, maybe BZ, maybe collaborate with BZ on some kind of launch or collaboration. We have so many players in this space that can provide amazing solutions. I collect on BZ, for example. I wouldn't collect elsewhere. I literally would not collect elsewhere. Now that I know that BZ can get me that solution where I can like literally trade. I get offers every day for my cards. I mean, why the hell would I go and buy the physicals and just not have any kind of proof, any kind of authenticity? And so I imagine Azuki collaborating with BZ on such activation.
I mean, great idea right there. And not to say this is how they should do it. I'm not claiming that, but that is an example. That's like real actionable feedback. Partner with Beezy. Partner with an up and coming other Web3 crypto native brand that is having a lot of success. They're breaking records month over month. And I don't know, maybe they do an Azuki TCG claw machine, and I don't know, maybe for the first month it is exclusive to holders. Maybe holders get it. Like, it doesn't, I think it doesn't, I don't always want to come back to, it's got to be free stuff. There has to be some financial utility. Sometimes it's just aligning with your supporters, others building in the space. And even hearing you describe that, Achilles, it got me thinking, not just is provenance meaningful when it comes to TCGs, being better on chain than off chain, but you talk about like the collector profiles. The community loves those. Well, my brain goes like, well, like real, like leaderboards, like your TCG stats, like who won that last meetup in New York. Like I know I'm not deep in the space, so I'm probably not sounding the most intelligent when it comes to TCGs, but I know people go and they compete and they actually enjoy the game. Well, leverage the technology to put that, put those results on chain. Have expand on the collector profile to a player profile, and you get a little badge that, oh, by the way, can be on chain. You don't have to call it an NFT if you think that's going to alienate those that aren't into NFTs. But there's ways to track this to make even the gameplay better and superior. Than it's just much harder to do with the off-chain counterparts. I saw Poppy. I know you had a hand up. We'll go. If you want to get in here, we can go back to you, and then we'll go back to Ira, and then we got Blue joined us as well. Poppy, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, my take will get much shorter. I think Achilles nailed a few of the most important points. I think that this topic is going to draw emotion. Ira, I have a lot of respect for you, as you know, but we have to look at things from like a very practical, non-emotional standpoint as well. I think, look, you probably saw more than I did because I was widely unplugged most of the weekend. We had family here. And then yesterday I spent most of the day with my son. But, when you look at Thor, right? And I saw, first off, him purchase another spirit. I think the guy's put, it's got to be 3 million or more into Azuki. Like, I don't think he was crying. I don't think that everybody's takes weigh the same, right? But I think that the most weighted takes should be from your biggest supporters. The fact is, if we could take what we know now and go back to the beginning, or even just go back to elementals, I'll be honest, the day of the elementals drop, and I'm not salty about it. I don't carry any hate or anguish. I make my own decisions. The day the elementals drop, my Azuki portfolio lost 50 ETH in value within minutes. That matters, right? And obviously traders decide market, but there was an expectation. And I think if the expectation was that the NFTs were never going to matter or they were going to be secondary, then why feast on mints and royalties for so many years? Because I don't see anybody talking about refunding those. And at the end of the day, when you receive revenue for something, there's kind of an agreement on value, right? If you go to a restaurant, you pay the bill, there's an agreement. You don't get to go back and say, hey, I didn't like the food last week. They laugh at you, right? But there's also this, I think, this place of ethical integrity that even if you don't agree with the direction anymore, you don't crash the plane into the building on purpose. I think that you can so I have this I also, Achilles, I can relate to you a lot because I own several companies. I've made several investments into tech startups, some successful, some I took a complete bath. That's part of the game, right? But I have this saying, and whenever we run into a problem, everyone calls me because I always remember this story in the Bible where Jesus was in the boat and everybody's panicking and he's just sitting there and they're like, you know, what what are you doing? Why are you so calm? And he said, do you have any faith? Right. So I try to, not to be like a pastor here this morning, but I always try to just be that person who is calm in the midst of chaos. So I get called a lot to, hey, can you solve this problem? Hey, can you do this? Hey, could you do that? And that's maybe why I have some value in those companies because I'm not that smart. I'm like a C student, D student. And I get, in that moment, maybe I have some value. I have this saying that you soft land things. Soft landing is so important. And I think one of the bigger issues here is that this hasn't been soft landed. And communication is everything. A lot of different founders come to me. Jed, I appreciate that. I'm humbled. I support a lot of smaller projects because I don't think they get the love that they deserve in the space. So I try to, do what I can do. And a lot of the founders I have good friendships with. And one of the biggest things that I tell them is start with communication. Because in my opinion, in business, everything rises and falls on communication. Wars rise and fall on communication. That's why wars start because of a lack of communication and they end with an agreement, which is a form of communication, right? Or they end with death. It's one or the other, right? So if everything in life rises and falls on communication, then that means that should be the biggest focus. And that is the reason why I don't own a Nizuki asset at the moment, because I don't understand. I don't hear the communication. I don't feel aligned with the communication. Would I like to? Sure, but I'd much rather buy an Elemental and take $100 risk versus $1,000 risk at this point, because I took $80,000 risk, $100,000 risk in the past and didn't feel the communication. So the point is that I don't think, yes, I'm sure some people are crying and, whatever, cool. But a blanket statement like that, and I know that's probably not what you meant. I know this is an emotional thing for you. You love Azuki, you're vested. I respect that. Also a reason why there's very little Azuki PFPs outside of that niche bubble. And I think the core problem here, and Achilles, you nailed it, bro. Like, I don't think Thor is expecting airdrop, break even. Like, he buys what he buys. Like, he bought what he likes. I think the expectation in the bar is actually very low, and this can be fixed. This can still be fixed now. But in a month or two, if it's ignored, then the intentions are very clear. And I hope they have a lot of success. But let's say the card, I'll end it here. Let's say the card game is successful. Let's say it becomes a top 5 card game. Does that change anything from today if there's no alignment with your holders?
I don't know. I think it can. I think it's in range, and I think it might be likely that it become maybe top 5. I don't know. I don't know enough about that market to really have an informed opinion on it. I think top 10. I'll just say this. I would not be surprised if Azuki TCG becomes a top 10 TCG, maybe even a top 5 TCG. I wouldn't be surprised. It would not shock me. Part of the reason it wouldn't shock me is because I feel there's some real magic here where you have thousands of passionate brand ambassadors. And you know what? Those who are fudding the loudest on the timeline, especially the holders that are critiquing or wanting things that they don't feel they're getting today on the timeline. If it becomes a top 5 TCG, they're going to become fans again, especially if there's some and along the way. And to your point, one of your points, Poppy, where you talk about like the price point, this could be a blessing for them. This could be for at a time where their TCG is going live and there's an opportunity to leverage that as a top of funnel and bring some of those that enjoy the TCG, they like the art, they like the game, and they're not on chain, they're not active crypto participants. Well, those people are probably unlikely to go buy an Elemental, let alone an Azuki, when they were 2 ETH or OG Azukis were 31 ETH. Most people that pick up a pack of TCG cards and play the game aren't going to go spend tens of thousands of dollars on a OG asset. I got a post pulled up from Didi right now that, that was unaffordable for themselves and many. For some, the downfold looked disappointed. For some, this is open opportunity. Instead of complaining, stack more Zuki while it's cheap. Like the opportunity for someone who enjoys the TCG game now to come in and pick up an elemental for 0.073 ETH, much more realistic than, dropping a few grand on one. So I think like it opens up the funnel when price is down a little bit. And is it the team's fault that they ripped up to 30 ETH? No, that was the market. Everything got overcooked. And things are now priced much more, we'll say, realistic in terms of where these brands are, where their IP is, where the revenue they're generating, and the rewards or utility that might come with holding one. I think this is, for all that to happen, for Azuki to become a top 5 TCG, I do think it's much more likely if they have a core base of several thousand raving fans who are excited about them becoming a top 5 TCG and they want to play a role in it. Maybe part of what we're looking at wrong is it's not about rev share, it's not about royalty share, although that's possible. You can do that if you choose to go that route. But I also respect brands that, hey, we got to build a business. We're not making enough revenue to support our own operation, let alone share that revenue with our holder base. I get it. It's early for all these brands. So I fully understand that rev share, profit share, take it off the table. But the driving alignment, showing the intent, bringing them along for the ride, the whole building in public, the communication, like a lot of that stuff is free, or it takes, the team's time. And I do think can go a long way. And maybe part of what we haven't seen enough of yet is more traditional referral programs. I mean, I don't like, we gave Rec Drinks credit recently because they launched their affiliate program. It's awesome. We talked about this Underdog Coffee with Captain World Cup bracket. It was free to enter. I dropped a ref link, got a bunch of referrals. I don't make a dime if no one plays, and I don't want to see anyone play. They don't want to play the game. But my whole point is, from Underdog, DraftKings, FanDuel, all those in the DFS sports betting world, to pick a from, it started with like Dropbox and PayPal, and like the idea of like a referral program. It's not new. It's worked for decades, and why not? Like it's easier to track when you have an on-chain component than not. Like, why not add that layer into, because is it going to take a little bit of time and effort for the team? Yeah, but the whole reason that these Web2 brands did it is it works. It's you're turning a holder into a brand ambassador, into an actual affiliate for free. You're not paying them anything other than maybe a percentage of the revenue you're generating. But it doesn't have to be passive. It doesn't have to be, oh, just because you hold this NFT, you're going to collect, a revenue stream in perpetuity. You're going to collect royalties in perpetuity just for holding. You're going to get free, like, make them work a little bit for it. But maybe you have a referral link for your TCG drop, and there's a small multiplier on there for holders. Like I'm not claiming to have the answer. I'm just saying there's ways to do it. And a lot of these ideas, they're not novel for crypto native brands. They're not novel for Web3 brands. They've worked. It's just like we used to beat the drum on, hey, have a retail holiday. Have an activation once a month. Freaking your local supermarket does this. Like, there's a way, when you're building a community-based brand, there's assuming you still want you want their support, there's a lot of ways to show your appreciation for said community support that doesn't involve magical internet monies, magical airdrops. Although Achilles mentioned earlier, like the whole check your wallet moment, I think most of us agree that's deep in the Azuki lore. Like, that was an iconic moment in the Azuki storyline. Oh, by the way, that was a moment where they did reward their holders, right? Like, so the playbook was there. Like, for Zach, I want to say that we haven't seen a playbook, we haven't seen that work. Like, it did work. It drove excitement, enthusiasm. Who cares if it drives your floor price up or down? If your most ardent supporters are excited about something you're doing, I don't know how you'd spin that as a negative. IRA, go ahead and get back in here, and then we'll get to the rest of the hands this morning.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. And yeah, this will be my last point here because I need to run like 10 minutes ago on my work meeting. So I will be quickly. Uh, at first, I want to say that I really appreciate that everyone is still so passionate about Azuki, and you guys really care about that, right? About art and everything that's happening there. I feel the pure love, even if you hate in Azuki, if you're like criticizing, I feel like you still care about the project, and it's the most important thing I think, for the any project that can be. And I totally understand your desire to this premium attitude, to this premium stuff and communication. I value digital with all my heart. That's why I'm here. And I understand you so well that you want this and communication and, you know, this special relationship with you personally. I totally understand that. But once again, hear my point here. I was in 2021 as well. And I think you guys still a bit stuck in this 2021 mentality because you saying that it's possible to connect Web3 and Web2 and show me the project where it's like, you know, possible. Most projects they failed. They promised that was talking about that, and they failed at that because it's really hard. And everything that you are saying, your ideas is great. It's brilliant. I'm really proud to be on space with you guys, but it's all take resources that not every team has, and especially now you see the market, you see everything. It's not so easy to make like all the steps, and each step like you probably know if you like have a team once again that even posting one thing it take like, you know, a lot to you know just all agree that yes it should be posted and everything. And it's with everything that you're suggesting, it's just team efforts and a lot of resources that will afford like will allow to do all of this. And once again, you speaking about this project, that how you was involved and everything, like about charity sometimes. And it wasn't charity, it's the same investment. And I was in 2021 and it's all was fun. Guys, the thing is, everything in 21 was fun and awesome because it was a lot of money. Every your movement will bring you a lot of money. That's why everything seems so, you know, bright back then. And right now it's impossible. So if it's supporting the team, my point is let the team focus on something that will bring money. And to your point, what they give to the community, my point is, yes, of course, when TCG will be world famous and everything, like top 5 or whatever, it will bring value to the holders because now soon will be casting call and everyone can apply their Azuki, their Elemental to be part of the manga or TCG. I like it, so that's why I'm talking about this. I think it's huge that you with your IPs can be a part of the story. Also, we have a Bobu proposal, and don't forget that Azuki token allocation partly was dedicated to help to the community ideas as well. If you have any ideas and you're ready to implement them, you can reach Azuki team, and I'm talking with the Azuki team almost daily. I know that they are responding. Zagabond writing in the chat almost daily and stuff. Also here answering on every post recently that guys writing. So like I understand like that communication you want different, but once again, like I think they are need to focus on what they're building in Web2 right now, and as a holder ready to support them while they doing that. And yeah, another opportunity that they opened, you can be a judge on like TCG tournaments. It's a paid opportunity, and half, like not half, okay, a lot of guys from the community they hired by Azuki right now, which is huge as well. And not every project doing that. So I'm bullish on Azuki. I know that like it's impossible to satisfy everything. I was part of Axie Infinity. They brought me a ton of money, guys. And if I would blame them still, like, you know, every day of my life, like for that they did like with their NFTs and holders, like I would be, you know, in a worse position because you never can be like all the time offended on the project that gave you so much, but you can support them when they are, you know, not in the best maybe period, but on their pivot to something bigger. And yeah, if you like the art, I think it's logical to support it. And we have still a lot of community support, but Yeah, that's my point.
I really appreciate you joining us today. I've enjoyed the perspective. It's great to get a chance to connect on stage. And yeah, you brought a lot of great points. I'm sorry we kept you past your 10 o'clock. You can blame me. Apologize on my behalf. And but you're welcome back anytime. We do run the show every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. And it is not always this, I'm just going to say passionate, because I think you nailed it. It's like both, whether people are for Azuki and love the IP, or they're indifferent, or they don't like how the alignment is being shown today. I think the one commonality is most, if not all here, are really passionate about the space at large. And that, I'll just double down on, that is part of the power of building in this space. That's part of the reason I think Azuki, I wouldn't be shocked if they do become a top 5 TCG. It's hard for a startup it would be very hard for a startup to do that without a base of rabid fans, without a base of real brand ambassadors, without a base of passionate collectors and supporters before they ever even launched the thing. They clearly have that. And I did see someone, I apologize, I didn't have it pulled up, but someone said something about the one that had hit the top 5 that I wasn't familiar with. Gucciano says, I don't think it's fair to compare Riftbound that is backed by Riot Games, which has many successful games, huge fan base, hosts big tournaments each year with Azuki and their cards. It's just much smaller fan base, most likely super tiny compared to Riftbound. Fair. I did not know that Riftbound was backed by Riot Games, and I agree. But I also would say about the only way a brand new startup IP has any chance of competing within the TCG base today without it taking years to develop that rabid fan base is either it's going to be backed by a Riot Games, it's going to be something like Disney and their Lorcana, or if it's a true startup, true new IP, I do believe NFTs in a passionate NFT community might present the best route to get there, because you have these fans before the game even ever goes live. They know they're going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of supporters, collectors, and players of the game. It doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to reach escape velocity, but it's going to give them a shot. That, if they don't have that build up fan base, you could launch a TCG that has incredible art and no one cares. No one's going to buy it. Distribution matters. It's very important. I'd say increasingly important in today's age of not just social and digital content, but also as AI proliferates. I think that distribution is really powerful, and Zuki has that. And if people didn't care anymore, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. If there wasn't a passionate group of collectors, like, don't have to agree with all of them. Some are being critical of the brand, but they care. If they didn't, they would just floor it and get out. Let's go. I think Blue was next, and then we've got a couple new speakers, Chicken Wizard, and then we'll go back to Zed. But Ira, really great hearing your perspective, and I truly appreciate you joining us today. I know you said you host your weekly show on Mondays. If you have a link or something you'd like to pin it up top, feel free to do so before you get out of here.
No, I didn't make an announcement yet, so yeah.
Is it a reoccurring time?
It's 2 p.m. East, so it will be a stream this day.
And is it from your X account?
Yes.
Okay. Go, if you've not yet given Ira a follow, go do that. And if you want to continue this conversation or learn more about Azuki, I'd encourage you to check that out at 2 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. Thanks again. Appreciate you joining us. Blue, you're up.
Yeah, GM, everybody. I would say Poppy and Achilles really nailed it on the head. All I would say is let's remember what projects were promising in the conversations that the projects were having with holders. I don't think that we should forget that. I don't think it should be, it's 2026. And let's just forget all the different conversations and promises that were told by thousands of different NFT projects. I think there were a lot of promises made and a lot of conversations had that were not really saw all the way through, and people were hurt. So I think Poppy really, really nailed it on the head, and Achilles hit it out the park. So yeah, but I would say what people are talking about now, as far as if you are a part of these different communities, you just have to figure out why you want to stay a part of that community. And if you see it as something that would be a long-term investment, or you see a value from the community itself, like the actual people, IRL, or some type of business type of situation that you may be able to get from being in that circle. But other than that, if it's not some of those different things, I don't really see how newbies come in unless it's a clear like project, like a Corky's, where they do communicate. Because I know for a fact that community supports the people in this community. I'm not saying Azuki doesn't. I'm just saying that we should just be like very clear that back in the day, there were a lot of promises and conversations people had that were not carried out.
Yeah, that's very fair. And I think Dort in the chat says, I think well, he says Azuki and this holder might be stuck in 21, 22. Both parts, both expectations are probably out of whack. I'm not saying Azuki is, I'm not claiming to get in Zagabon's head, but I do think some of the holder expectations, not just Azuki, probably for every one of these collections that is still relevant, it was around in 21, 22. I would imagine there's a certain percentage, it's greater than one holder collector in that community that has expectations that just are not realistic in 2026. Expectations that resulted from a mania, from a bubble, whatever you want to call it, that it's just not realistic. And I don't know, I don't think that world ever comes back. But that doesn't mean the technology doesn't work. That doesn't mean that the model doesn't work. It's just they do need to focus on building a real sustainable business. But I think you can do that and bring your holders along with you. Dor says there's can easily involve holders with lessening their focus on Web 2, though. It's not sacrifice any involvement or efforts in Web 2 whatsoever. I agree. I just think there's ways to do both. And I think that is, if you're going to build in Web 3, I think really, truly part of the magic, like the reason, if you're going to launch an NFT collection today, don't do it for the fundraise. Like you're picking up headaches that you don't need to deal with. There's a lot of ways to raise money. You don't need to build in crypto or Web3 just to raise funds. There's a lot of ways to do that. And you don't have thousands of stakeholders who feel like they're vested or that they're equity holders and they're not, but yet some are going to have expectations of this, some sort of perks or utility or alignment. You don't have to deal with all that. Like, just go build the traditional way. But if you're going to build here, the reason to build here, I truly believe, is that fandom, that rabid fan base that is just very, it takes, you can speed run fandom. You can speed run your first true 1,000 fans much faster than outside of this space. And, we've seen it happen time and time again. And it's even recent. We've seen new mints this year that have built loyal communities. The most recent, I think, has real long-term sustainability is what we've seen from Good Vibes Club. And granted, that mint was a little over a year ago, but it's not saying that some of the recent ones I know there's a lot of NPC fans in the chat. I'm not saying they can't get there. It's too early to know. Whereas I think, in my opinion, Good Vibes Club they've reached, maybe not reached escape velocity is not the right word. They've crossed that they've been around long enough. They've shown that they're not going anywhere and that collectors collect. They're collecting assets they want to hold. They've shown alignment. Like they're and oh, by the way, there's been raffles, there's been alignment, but there's not been some big magical airdrop. There's not been, oh, you held a Good Vibes Club and they're still holding because they got airdropped 6 figures. That hasn't happened. But yet they have done a great job of building really loyal fans. And part of it is the involvement, featuring their holder assets and in new videos and new IP. And just like Ira mentioned, getting your asset featured in a TCG or a manga, like that's cool. You can't do that everywhere. Like, compare that to a non-crypto native brand. Like, even if there's a one-of-one card of one of these TCGs, I guess, like, I hold the most powerful card in the TCG, but how TCGs work is it may be valuable, but it's not going to be popular. It's not going to be used in game very often, if ever. Like, it's just this really is, I think, a better way for some to build. But if you're going to build here, I really do think leaning into that alignment is powerful. I saw Blue throw her hand back up, so we'll go back to Blue for response. and then we will keep it moving around the horn. We will get to everyone. We're running a little long this morning. I appreciate all your patience, but as I think Ira mentioned, a very passionate group this morning of wanting to get their thoughts off. Go ahead, Blue.
I was going to say, Cap, you really hit it on the head. Even currently and in the past, the issue is there's a lot of projects that are saying that they're in Web3 and they are using Web2 systems. They're not using smart contracts. They're not using the blockchain. They're not using our technology. There's a lot of companies right now that are using payment processors, and that's the reason why they're able to like grab the money back. So I think you really, really hit it on the head. It's like, what are the projects that are actually operating on the blockchain? And somebody brought it up earlier, like that BZ collaboration, that would be huge. Like I'm waiting for BZ to get into the game of like actually grading cards, because our grading system right now sucks. So I would just say like that biggest issue is there's a lot of companies that aren't operating on the actual blockchain rails. And that's why a lot of people are making these comments of, well, Web 2 can't operate in Web 3. Web 2 needs Web 3 to be authenticated. You know what I'm saying? It's just like all of us trying to trade cards. We don't like Achilles said, there's no way I'm going to buy a card right now in this state unless it's on BZ or somebody that has a blockchain card, because there's too many. AI and the technology now is too good to really decipher what's fake and what's not. But I really think you hit it on the head.
Thanks, Blue. We've got, I think, Chicken Wizard was next, and then we'll go to Kane Co, and then back to Jed, and then we'll probably wind things down. Before I go to Chicken Wizard, though, I did want to respond to Rue in the chat. Rue, back to, talking about the blueprint or the playbook. They said expanding into Web 2 at the same time you manage a Web 3 audience, never been done before. There's not a sustainable blueprint yet. I respectfully disagree. We talked about the VFriends Top Drop earlier. You could talk about the Board Ape Yacht Club collaboration with Bape and several other collaborations, but very high-end demand drops that holders got perks. And sometimes it wasn't even a discount. It was just like you were basically on the guaranteed allow list. Things that Achilles earlier talked about solving a problem. This exists today, from sneakers to card drops and everything in between. They often get botted. Often some of the biggest fans are kept on the sidelines, and their only choice to purchase something they really love is something they want to collect. They have to go pay 5, 10, 100x for it on the secondary market because they're essentially locked out because they don't have botting drops. Like NFTs have solved that, and we have many examples of that. You could talk about Pudgy Toys or their TCG that they've done with Vibes. And they rewarded their holders. They actually gave those holders that they used the IP, they gave them a percent of the revenue. It's not life-changing money, but it's a start. It's I don't know if it's a few $100, maybe $1,000 if they used your art in the collection. That's cool. Like it's been done. And so I'm not saying that there's one right answer, but I will respectfully disagree that there's not a blueprint yet. We've seen it, and you could debate whether it's sustainable or not. It's pick an arbitrary number. Oh, they got to sustain for 10 years. They got to be in business for 20 years. I don't, you could go back and forth on what is really sustainable or not. But in all those examples, while I would say it is sustainable, is they didn't give the stuff away for free. In none of those examples, like it's not sustainable if every time you go to market with a new product, if you're expected to give away 10,000 or 20 or 30,000 of them for free. I agree, that's not sustainable. In none of those examples I just gave was the stuff free. It was just access to their real core fans. That is very sustainable, and in fact solves a real problem that exists in Web 2 today that large brands are still trying to solve for. And NFTs, blockchain technology, is a real solution. Like we've seen it work. And you could talk about tickets, and I know there are some artists that have leveraged NFTs and blockchain technology to make sure their most loyal fans are the ones that get first crack at buying tickets for their next show. As opposed to if you're a Taylor Swift fan, if you don't get lucky and get in a, you're gonna, you want to get into a Taylor Swift show, you're gonna pay 10x what she's actually selling the tickets for, just because you weren't a ticket broker or didn't have a bot or didn't get lucky in a raffle. Just like this top drops. I've tried for the VFriends top drop, I think 4, maybe 4 different EQL raffles I entered, didn't hit on a single one. But if I held a VFriends OG, I would have got my box. And I don't even care. I actually am glad that they're doing that. I don't care that I didn't get hit on the raffle. I'm a fan of them using NFTs to solve a problem that exists in the collectible world today, in the TCG world today. Chicken Wizard, GM, appreciate you jumping up. What are your thoughts on this conversation this morning?
Can you hear me fine first? Because I was having connection issues, so I want to make sure you're hearing me fine.
Yeah, we got you. Appreciate the mic check, but you're loud and clear.
All right, great. A few things, actually. So Ira said some interesting stuff. Just some stuff I fervently, disagree with in terms of what they should be capable of doing, Azuki in general. First and foremost, I think Gary Vee is a prominent example of someone who's literally managed to merge both Web 2 and Web 3 perfectly. I have one VFriend. It's only a Series 2. And I don't really go crazy collecting cards or anything like that, but I do have to acknowledge that, I think he's done a perfect blend of that. And he does a really good job of outreach to his community directly. He's really engageable. He's always around. I feel like, by comparison, Zagabond doesn't feel there. He feels absent, and this is coming from someone, by the way, who for a long time, even right now, I'm even looking right now at the Azuki. You're looking at telling me the Elementals floor. I'm looking at him again. I'm like, man, I really like the art. It's really clean, but I also have to second guess that decision because, not having a founder that's, even remotely accessible, or at least acknowledging the fandom, it just feels a little backwards. And also to that point with the whole, community side of stuff, you have amazing people like Jeremy Knows from the VFriends, who's just really, really great in general at, helping to make sure that, community success actually happens within there. I don't really see that level of engagement or anything like that from the Azuki family, unfortunately. And having someone who's they're constantly engaging with the community, if they don't have that, then that speaks volumes to what they're capable of doing as a team. And here's coming another side of things. I'm an avid player of card games. I have Hearthstone pulled up right now on my iPad. I play Magic the Gathering. I play a lot of different card games. I can honestly say that, yeah, you do need to have a core community there that like the thing, like the game. But, this is also coming from someone who, and I'm going to use one of Jed's trigger words, I collected Pokemon cards, but I didn't just collect them. I played with them. There has to be, a core community there that actually really enjoy those cards, that enjoy the card game. And also there has to be, the passion has to be there from both inside and outside. And to be honest with you, I don't see that with Azuki right now. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that, their focus has been completely disconnected from their core community. In my opinion, just looking at it, it feels like they've disconnected from Web3 as a whole. And I feel like they've forgotten that Web3 is kind of what made them who they were. And even, more so to the point, they have this amazing card game that they've made, only accessible from the physical standpoint. But, they're a digital thing, a digital product. Why is it not also a digitized card game? Why do we not have it able to be played on our phones or on our iPads, on our computers?
I sorry to interject, but I want to tug on that thread and let you keep cooking, because that's candidly, even if there was no perks for holders and it was just, hey, you can buy it just like everyone else, pay full price. There's no early access. There's no guarantee to buy. It's a free for all. Okay. But leverage it, be better, put it on chain, use some advantages you have with this technology. Might it require a little extra dev work? Maybe, but that's part of what they're great at. Azukis were one of the first ones that pushed the NFT contracts forward, smart contracts forward. I don't know if they'd make it to the team today, but my understanding is they have the devs, they're good at this sort of stuff. lean into the technology, make your TCG better than the off-chain TCGs because you're doing things they can't do with the tech. We talked about they have the collector profiles. Well, make a player profile. Someone who maybe doesn't own an NFT, but now you're pulling them into your ecosystem because they play the game every day. They want to see their leaderboard. They want to see their stats. And oh, by the way, it's one tab away from what's this collector profile about? I want to rank on that leaderboard as well. Sorry, right back to you, Chicken Wizard. Keep cooking.
Yeah. So actually, you bring up some interesting points because I love that player's profile thing. You know who would have also liked that? An avid card game enthusiast as well as Brian Kibler from Magic the Gathering. If you others don't know who he is, he's Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, top tier champion, multiple different things. These are the kinds of things that these people look for in order to show off who they are, show off their their personality to the community. And I just feel Azuki just feels like it's lost its place a little bit. I think they forgot, the mix a little bit. And this is coming from an outside perspective. I'm not even upset that they launched Azuki elementals or anything like that, because you mentioned before that it makes it a little bit more accessible, or someone mentioned it before, it makes it a little bit more accessible to someone like me who can't afford a $20,000-$30,000 PFP. It gives a good entry point into that. That being said, it also feels like there was a disconnect even there when the drop actually happened. It just felt like they were all right, well, we need to do another fundraise because we need more money for God knows what. That wasn't really an obvious thing. No one really cared about anime.com. No one really cared about any of that stuff because it's disconnected from what that is. And it just feels like a slap on patch to what the community actually is looking for, which, everyone likes to mention 2021, 2022 vibes. The reality is the reason why those vibes were there was because, we were locked in home. Everyone was locked in. The core community was, growing and constantly growing because everyone was looking for those communities to attach themselves to actually have friends and family that they could actually, get involved with these things that they were also ultra passionate about. We haven't seen that because we're not locked in anymore. We're traveling around and it's everyone forgot what that was in the NFT community for a while. And it's great to see that we have a lot of great projects coming back to that and remembering that, the core community actually matters. You have great projects like, Jeds, Regens. Even now, I want a Bored Ape. I want or at least a Mutant Ape, because I know that the core community is actually there. And it does seem like the vibes are coming back into that community perspective. Mainly because, that's what these are. These are premier online digital assets that are basically like country clubs. You're getting access to really awesome people, really awesome individuals that you can connect with, like you, Captain. You're running these awesome spaces daily. Having these assets is really great to connect to that side of stuff. So I just, from my perspective, I feel like Azuki's kind of lost their momentum, mainly because they just lost their focus on what actually matters, which is the core Web3 community, rewarding their core Web3 community with things that people actually care about within there, like really great digital card game, like I mentioned before, or something along those lines. And you know what? I know of at least 2 individuals who are not developers that just outright made a card game online, digital, and it didn't take them a lot of money. It didn't take them millions and millions of dollars to do. Really, it just takes a really good idea and some good art. And I know that Azuki has access to that, like you said. So it just, like I said, it just feels like too much of a cash grab. And I don't normally have a problem with it, but I do when it just feels like it's a cash grab to be a cash grab. I mean, Pokemon technically is a cash grab right from the get-go. I mean, they were a viral sensation, but at least it was backed by content that actually people enjoyed, that kids actually enjoyed. So I'm not going to shame anyone who's just constantly putting out products and stuff like that for their community to buy, but at least have some substance to it. At least be on point to what your community actually is looking for. That's all I got.
This fair. I do want to. I want to tip to Boyd using the phrase, I just, and it's nothing against you whatsoever, Chicken Wizard. I feel like the words cash grab and rug, they get thrown around way too often in this space. And in defense of Azuki, they are still building, right? They've bought, anime.com. They're continuing to develop the art. They've shipped a TCG. So they communicated better what the 40 million raised in it was going to go towards. They could, but they didn't have to. But had they just shut down and closed their Discord, then I think we call it a cash grab and say they rug. But I think that, and hey, also businesses will build and have good intentions and fail. Not everything works. It's very, very hard. So I think I just want to use that the terms like cash grab and rug and stuff not quite as frequently as we do in this space. It's fair to want to know more or see more and be more aligned, but I do respect them for still being here, still building, and I do like despite I know it seems like I'm on the FUD Izuki side. I'm not fudding Izuki, but I think some of the critique is fair, and I'm rooting for all. I'm rooting for Apes. I'm rooting for Pudgies. I'm rooting for Izuki. I'm rooting for Doodles. I want to see them all win. I think one of these brands wins, and when one of them wins, it's a win for all here. If they're able to escape the crypto world and make it and reach escape velocity outside of this, it could be a big win for everyone here. I saw someone, we were talking about Panini NFTs recently. I saw someone in the normie collector world couldn't get their head around why a Jerry Rice 1 of 1 just sold on Panini. They're like, this is just a digital card. And they followed up like, and I'm a fan of blockchain and NFT. Like, I don't think I'm not dunking on this person, but I don't think they understood that Panini digital card was in fact an NFT. And they still can't get their heads around why a digital version would sell for as much or more than a physical version. And this is like, I didn't think in 2026 we'd be talking about Panini NFTs pushing the NFT space forward, but they are. They're bringing in a new collector base. A lot of them that weren't here in 21, 22. They don't have these other expectations. They're here because of the problems that NFTs are solving when it comes to provenance, when it comes to authenticity, when it comes to proof of ownership, when it comes to proof of fandom and how you can reward those fans. I said we're going to wind down, and it ended up bringing a few more hands on stage. So I want to go back to Chicken Wizard for a quick response. And then I did, Kane Co was on deck, and then we'll work our way around. And then I might have a hard out 11, so we might have to go lightning round, but we'll get to everyone one way or another before we wrap up today. Go ahead, quick response, Chicken Wizard.
Yeah. So I don't like using the word rug either. I don't actually consider Izuki a rug at all. I also don't think of them quite like a cash grab, although, I technically consider most anything popular potentially that. And I'll, that's a subject for another whole entire session. That being said, I'm also not someone who's like against that either. At the end of the day, these are businesses. They're trying to make money. Disney technically could be considered a cash grab technically because, they're just constantly pushing out content and stuff for people to buy constantly. So there's nothing, I don't consider that, something bad. What really is a matter of it is just, like I said, again, being connected with the core community in a way that actually makes it feel like that core community is included. I feel like Izuki could just be better at doing that. And I think a lot more people would be excited if they were to do that. So yeah, that's really all I got.
Good take, and appreciate you joining us today. Good to connect. Kaneko, appreciate your patience. Go ahead. Actually, I'm going to hand it to Kaneko next. I did just want to shout out Gorilla's post here, who says the recent Bordy Bianco pivot was so received because they recognize their holders. In his opinion, Izuki NFTs feel like they're on standby while the team tries something new. What do I get by joining the garden? Genuine question. If it's simply hoping the floor goes up from the TCG success, am I not better off holding chase cards and unopened boxes? Similar to my first Ape Fest, Izuki Vegas made me feel I want to be part of something, a lot of potential for their IP. This question, what do I get by joining the garden? I was very vocal in this recently, like within maybe the last year, if not definitely within the last 2 years. Actually, yeah, I think within the last year, pre-Figgy, asking the Bordy Bianco leadership, what do I get for buying an ape? Why should I suggest that one of my friends or participant on this show, why should they buy an ape or a mutant? And I do think that is, there's no right answer, but I think an answer that's consistent across the team and the leadership, I think that's important. And if they don't know, I think it'd be worthwhile putting some time and some thought to that, answering that question. And because I don't know, or holders or prospective buyers not knowing, that's also not good. Kaneko, GM, appreciate your patience. Thoughts on this?
Oh, no worries. Yes, no. No, I got into it with Zegamon a little bit, but it's comes from a place of passion for NFTs. And it's one of the things that, you can be laser focused, right? And be laser focused on something. I mean, we're laser focused on Lazy Lions, but you still have to think in business terms and think of things. The sales bot, one, is one of the highest engagement factors for an NFT collection you can get on X. It's broad, it's based, and it touches everyone in the community, and it touches outside of the community. And you can put links to your other products. So great, it's a great business decision to promote your TCG and promote your links and promote everything else, because it's a huge automated system that costs $30 to $50 a month and takes 20 minutes to develop. All of these tiny things add up, and you can still stay laser focused. We're creating tons of things, and some of it, and majority of what we create, is outside of Web3, but it doesn't distract me from Web3. Web3 is the core focus and the core belief. You have to be able to do 2 to 50 things in this space to be able to be efficient and be able to be great. And you have to sell your vision to not only your holders, but to the outside community. They have to be able to see it. And sometimes it's lost. I mean, I love Azuki. I had to sell some to, when we took over Lazy Lions, but I still have my jacket. I still love everything about it. I'm not a huge TCG guy. We looked at it with Lazy Lions, and we looked at more on the tech side because I build software. And so, we looked at more of what can we do with blockchain? What if we did this? What if we built, a full integration with a live game onto the chain? And we spec'd some of that out. And I think there's good promise for that. And I think it made sense. It just didn't make sense for us. But I think there's space for that, and it makes tons and tons of sense. And I look forward to Azuki building out and having a great TCG. I think it's cool. I think it's cool art. I think it will make it. I just don't understand what it means in the future for holders. And that's something that, as a founder, as an owner, that I think about all the time. I mean, how is everybody going to get reward? How is this going to make sense down the line? And I think those thoughts aren't coming across. Zegabon may think about those things, and he may have plans for that, and he may have those things. It's just not coming across. And I think that's fundamentally wrong and an errant view in this space. And I think, I would recommend changing that. But I mean, just like anything else, I mean, I'm not going to tell another founder what to do. It's their vision, their goal. And, just like, we have our vision and Poppy has his vision, and, we align on some things, but we probably disagree on, a lot more, but doesn't mean we don't respect each other and respect, their vision or what they're trying to do in the future for their business. And it's all different. But I think they're just missing a lot that could generate them more revenue, which is their primary goal, and accelerate their brand just by integrating a little bit bigger into Web3 and really honing in on it and delivering some value to their holders.
Yeah, good, fair. I think it's also, you kind of say this maybe without exactly saying it, but I'll just add to that, very hard to incorporate your holders and feel or believe you're going to make all of them happy. The reality is, if you do something to drive alignment with your holders and reward your holders with some sort of access, some sort of perk, some sort of utility, there's going to be somewhere from 1 to 60% of them that are unhappy, that thinks you should have done more. And I don't envy that position at all. I understand it's a very difficult spot to be in as a crypto, a Web3 founder, a Web3 team. Like it's very difficult. And again, not to give the unsolicited advice, but don't worry about that. Understand that you're not going to make everyone happy, but yet if this activation and your alignment made 40% of the base happy, and the next one you do makes a different 40% of the base happy, and the next one you do makes the other 20% of the base happy, you're winning. And I think all of them will see that there's intent, there's an effort for alignment, and I think that goes a long way. Even if you do an activation like a cigar box drop that. I'm not a smoker, but I still appreciate how they went about it. I still appreciate the intent and the effort of driving alignment. Go ahead and get a quick response, Kinko.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was something we spent a lot of time on. I mean, not a lot of time on, but we spent maybe 45 minutes to an hour on at Lucas Founders Meeting in Miami. And it's really, how can you do that? But then also we spent a lot of time on top line revenue. And I think that's like where the space is disconnected, because it's top line revenue for the business and like holder value at the bottom. How can we switch that up and make that aligned a lot better? And I think that's where you will start to see NFTs change in the future, because we need to think differently and think more progressively and not think about like we're a Web 2 business. If we think like we're a Web 3 business, we could think differently and redirect that to where the whole can be happy. I mean, you'll never make everyone happy, but if you can bump that number to 80, 90%, I think you're a total alignment, and then you're clear mission and you're driving forward. But yeah, I love it.
Good stuff. Again, appreciate you jumping up. Great to hear from you as always. Let's go, Jed. I see your hand, but I want to put you on hold because I want to get to the other new voices. We'll wrap with you. Let's go, Green Visor Gang, and then Rue. I appreciate you jumping up after I respectfully disagree with you in the chat. I am truly looking for. I hope you give me some pushback and tell me where I'm wrong. Looking forward to hearing from you. But let's go, Green Visor Gang first.
Good morning. Thanks for letting me up. Just want to shed a little light. I'm in New York. The Azuki has an amazing office here by K-Town, and they do have an app where people from all across the world are competing in a leaderboard. At the end of the tournament, I believe there's 100K up for grabs. Currently, they're hosting events every Thursday in the office in K-Town. They're also hosting events in their office from LA. I think I've had a lot of fun. I'm not a TCG guy, as a lot of you guys know. I play a lot of poker, but the game did drag me in, and I've been competing every Thursday. Pretty much everybody joins the office. There's about 20 people, and they've been onboarding a lot. Everybody competes. The top 3 players at the end of the event pretty much get prizes. Currently, they've been giving away packs of cards to rip live. They've been doing a lot of dinners pretty much after that as well. So I feel that, I was hearing what Machiavelli was saying a couple of weeks ago, how a lot of community members are just rotating holders and there isn't like fresh blood. I feel like Azuki is taking that direction where the TCG gaming is huge. Like, I don't know if you guys watch. It's really, really big. So I think if that's what they're trying to pretty much do is just create a new bridge to bring people into the space. They also have an app that's developed and it's on the App Store, which that's the only way for you to register to the tournaments. Pretty much as soon as you're done with your results for the game, you enter whether you won or you lost, and you get put into the rankings. Through their Discord as well, they have that you can play the TCG game online with friends also. So I kind of see the vision a little bit of what they're doing, and just trying to find new people to join the space. By me joining some of these events, I've seen at least 20, 30 new people onboarded heavy into Azuki that have no idea about the NFT world. And that's where like it gets kind of interesting and fun, because after dinner we start talking about, the game. We start talking about, oh, maybe you should grab this. Oh, well, you got this Azuki, maybe get your beans. And then I could see the conversation flowing. So just putting some insight for somebody that's been participating for the last month or two. Just wanted to share that with you guys.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you sharing, and it's good. It's great to hear. I love to hear that they are, acknowledging, tracking. Like, it's just, I know it may sound simple, but things like, a leaderboard. Like, people will participate more. They'll play more. They'll collect more for something as simple as a leaderboard. Rue, GM, appreciate your patience.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Doing great.
Yeah, just going back to the point of Web 2, Web 3 conundrum. It's, I mean, I don't think you're wrong on what you said on a comment, to be fair, but I don't think it's so black and white. I think it's like a gray area where it's a hard thing to manage. Like, blueprint wise, I'm not sure about VFriends. I mean, Gary, for what I know of him, he's 2 steps ahead of everyone in business. He's kind of a visionary. So, but I'm not sure what he's doing. I know he has some cards, but in general, I think it's a tricky one, because when you have a project, obviously you need to be sustainable and therefore be profitable. Now it's tricky to expand to Web 2 and still have the Web 3 audience, because Web 2 hates crypto in general. So that's a challenge there, which I don't have any answers, by the way. But that's a tricky one. Also, in terms of like collabs, they're not going to pay the bills. It's pretty cool. I love them, but they do not going to pay the bills. Like when you do like 50 cigars, like Bored Ape did now, which I would love to have it, but again, it's not going to pay their bills. Like, just the streaming of the other side will be on the millions per year, just that bill. So it's a tricky one, definitely. In the other hand, I also think it is a bit disrespectful for the initial holders where they raise, let's say, funds to run a project that then they say, you know, the guys, we're not going to focus on you anymore. We're going to focus now on Web 2. Okay, I can see how people get pissed off. I'll get pissed off as well. But, you know, it's a tricky one. But tell me about like also VFriends, because that will be quite interesting to learn how they profitable. But it is a tricky exercise, and communication again, it's really important. And what you mentioned of, okay, what do I get in this case if I join Azuki? Well, right now it is hard to answer, and you're right on that for sure. But I don't know. I think it's we kind of everyone has like a very polarized opinion, but I don't think is so clear in that sense. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, fair. I real quick before we, just because you asked about VFriends, their recent card drop, collectible cards, was with Topps Chrome, and you might find some at a Target, a GameStop, a local card shop. You could buy on Topps.com during launch day, but you couldn't just buy directly. You had to enter an EQL raffle, which is widely known and used throughout I don't know if it's just a Topps thing or if it's cardboard in general. And you basically just had to enter a random raffle. I did 3 or 4 times, didn't hit on any of the raffles, and holders got the opportunity to buy boxes. It was like basically a guarantee. If you wanted to buy the box and you held an OG VFriend, you could buy a box. I don't remember exactly if it was you could get a mega box or you get a value box. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you could absolutely, if you held a VFriend, you get a box. In addition to that, they also brought a lot of their community along in the set. They had different cards, different sketch cards. I think there was like 15 different community artists that were included in this, which is, again, it's a cool feature. I'm not saying that Azuki has to go out and include 15 artists in their TCG. They don't have to do that. Sounds like they are including like the art, the IP that some of their holders hold. That's cool. That there is alignment. So we'll give them, would be remiss if I didn't give them credit for driving that alignment by incorporating art from holders. I just think that leaning into this is one of the reasons you would drop an NFT collection, one of the reasons you would build in crypto, because it comes with it headaches that don't exist outside of crypto. Leaning into the technology, leaning into that proof of fandom, that proof of community, I think is you can win as a result. And this is a perfect example where there is an and here. They sold out on Topps. So by rewarding their holders, by allowing some of their holders to buy, they didn't eliminate the retail demand. They didn't eliminate those who still went after the raffle and attempted to buy these just from Topps Direct. So I think this is a good example. I don't know how profitable they are because I don't know. I've never seen VFriends P&L. I've never seen what their overhead is. I really have no idea. But what we can measure is consumer demand. Does the product sell out, or do they have to cut prices 50% to sell out the drop? Well, they've sold out, and holders got a benefit by they didn't have to go buy one on the secondary market for over what the retail, even GameStop was marking up over MSRP. A retailer was marking these boxes up. Holders didn't have to pay that markup. They got to buy it at retail pricing. And I think that's a simplistic way, but it does show that, yeah, you can reward your holder base without having to give them free stuff or even discounts for that matter. Let's go ahead, Brew.
That's a very good point. And yeah, I agree. Like those little perks to holders, like, okay, you have priority access to products that we launch. I think that will be a way to keep them aligned. But yeah, I think again, like maybe wrecked as well with the drinks as well in that sense. But yeah, I think it's we're gonna have to wait and see how well they do. But meanwhile, we're gonna have these discussions.
Yep. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm a believer in the technology. I'm passionate about the technology. I do believe the NFTs can unlock things that things off-chain can't do. Here's a post from TSU Basa. Let's talk TCG. Some of us here are not completely clueless about TCGs. Sure, if they say they're all in on TCG, show me a TCG worthy of TCG's OG's attention. I've been collecting Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering for 25 years. I've raised this before, so what's different and unique and special about Azuki TCG versus all the other leading TCGs who've been at it for 30 years or over? if you say it's one piece, its IP is older than some of us. And apart from the art, how it plays is similar to OP-TCG. So what's the selling point of Azuki TCG? Why make another TCG that is like One Piece and like others? Where's the innovation? Let's talk TCG. As a former top 50 Azuki collector, I'm asking this, recently going into Lorcana, and also fell in love with a Chinese card game. I spent thousands there, but I didn't buy a single Azuki card yet. Convince me. I think it's a fair question. Like, and also doubling down on the technology. Like, if you don't want to show alignment, if you don't want to give holders perks and access and incorporate their IP and give them gated access that non-holders don't get, or discounts or whatever, at least leverage the technology. What are you innovating? Why? If you, and this isn't just Azuki, this goes for all building on chain. What makes your product better than an existing competitor who's far more established? They've been at it for decades. How are you going to compete? And I think one of the advantages, I've said multiple times in the show, it's you have a passionate group. You have your first true 1,000 fans. That gives you an edge. That it's still going to pale in comparison to the amount of Pokemon or Magic the Gathering fans, but it gives you an edge over another startup. Now, if you want to compete and become a top 5 and compete with those the legacy IP, the established, entrenched incumbents, you got to do something different, in my opinion. Do something that they can't do. In this case, you have the knowledge of what you can do and what you can unlock with blockchain tech. You can unlock fandom. You can prove fandom. You can track results and leaderboards better than someone could do off chain. Lean into that. I do believe it's a significant competitive advantage. Otherwise, could they still compete and do it? You can. It's just very hard. And I don't understand, if you're going to be here, why not use the technological advantage? I mean, Luca used to say that, his goal was his $20 toy on the Walmart shelf would be better than the $20 toy next to it. Why? Because he was unlocking digital elements and digital access that the one plushie or stuffed animal or vinyl simply couldn't. Makes sense. Let's go Jed and then Blue, and then I do got to wrap up. Jed, we might have lost you. I can't. I'm not getting the audio. Let's go Blue, and then we'll see. Jed, you might have to take a quick lap if you want. I'm not getting anything from you. Blue, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I was gonna say there was a question of how is the Web2 community, gonna stop hating crypto? It's very easy. The first one is Trump has the UFC fighters getting USDC1 stable coins at the White House event. That's going to be huge. Chainlink partnered with FIFA. That is insane. That's over 140 countries. I don't know. They're trying to tokenize every single thing. So I think that after August, we're going to see a lot of flux towards our space. There's normies asking me, how do I buy this stuff? Should I be using Coinbase? Because that's what I saw on TV. So there's a lot of people that are getting into this space now because they see that these companies are using it, and it's not a hard conversation. Once the Clarity Act passes, which will pass this summer, to let the banks come in, and that'll bring our liquidity. So, I mean, that's the answer to that.
Yeah, I think good point. I think it's like stablecoins and this sort of adoption may not be the most exciting thing to the collectible space or our niche world, but it does matter. It brings a lot of credibility. And I think those that are here, those that have been building, while they may be reluctant to brand something as NFTs because of the negative connotation with those who aren't here today. I get that. I think just as the example I use with the Panini NFTs, the Panini digital collectibles, is I think we're approaching a point where it's just going to be better. The product, whatever it is, whether it's a TGG, a collectible card, ticketing, it's just better. And just like we don't think about who our internet provider is or what cloud service is hosting this website we go to every day, like no one cares. No one cares what blockchain it's on. They care, does it work better than something else? And we've spent a lot of time talking about community and those perks, but I also think the tech edge, the tech advantage is very real. And I would love to see those that are, I think those that are leaning into it now, building the infrastructure, building the rails, I think they stand to win the biggest once. And I also don't think there's going to be some massive wave of millions of people start using because they saw a commercial. But when they do find something that resonates with them, maybe it is a TCG, and then they find out there's this digital component, there's this, oh, God forbid, a blockchain component. I think fast forward, you said August, whether it's August or it's 2027, when that time comes, I think there's less likely to be, it's less likely to be met with vitriol. I think it's more likely to be, oh, it's another one. It's just like this thing that my local bank did, except it's collectible instead of a stable coin. I think like credibility is slowly building for blockchain technology and what blockchain tech can unlock, whether it's tokenized stocks, RWAs. Look at the gotcha machines. It's better on chain than off chain. Do you need blockchain to build a claw machine-esque type mechanic? No. But as a consumer, it makes you feel a lot better knowing that you can feel confident what's actually in there, what your true odds actually are, versus some blind draw on a vending machine that may have 0 grail items in it. It's just better, hard stop. And I think that's, most people can pretty quickly get that and easily understand that. They don't care that it's that the technology that's verifying this and is securing that you could redeem for if you want to hold the physical thing. They don't care that it's an NFT. But you also don't see BZ beating the NFT drum. They're just using the technology and making a better product. Jed, go ahead back in here, and then we'll get everyone out of here and enjoy the rest of their Monday. 11:11. Make a wish.
Hopefully I'm not rugged. Am I good?
We got you. Yep.
All right. So just a couple quick things. One, I think you hit on it a bunch of times, but I was going to push back on Ira before and say, from 21 till now, I think the entitlement or expectations have definitely changed, and it's just about, like you said, it's about intent. It's about doing something for your holders. So I don't think anybody expects. I mean, first of all, if you buy an NFT for 30 ETH and there's 10,000 of them, and you think they're going to be able to return 300 million and ROI on you, then you need to really do numbers. So that was on us. But nowadays, I think people are happy with access and these small things. It's like, all right, so every month they raffle a couple of Zuki and elementals and then Mac, I just wanted to kind of push back, but he left. He was at my restaurant the other night. But like, to me, 20 people in New York City at a TCG is bearish as fuck. Like, I can get 20 people in the restaurant any night of the week. And I'm not even giving anything away, but I do, I actually do give shit away, but they don't know that. They don't come for that reason. So I don't know. I just think 20 people showing up in New York City is not bullish at all.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know about space, but it's got to start somewhere. I mean, 20 is better than 2. I don't, and if they're having fun, if there's 20 that'll come back, like it's a point, it's a building block. It's something to build from. In a city the size of New York, I could understand how it could look bearish. Maybe it is bearish. I don't know enough about it, but if they maintain or grow, I could see it being a positive more so than a negative. Now, if they do one next week and there's 2 people there,
is you used to be bad cop, bro, but now you're like a good cop, bad cop.
Gotta play both. Yeah, I lost my good cop.
Yeah.
I lost my good cop on spicy days. Go ahead.
And the last thing I want to say is, like, I'm not really bullish on IP. That's not kind of my thing. But I do think that, like, recently, the more I looked at it, the more I'm like, all right, I'm really bullish on VeeFriends. And like you said, what's different? Like, I've never seen like comic rips. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just found out like that comics come in a pack. That's something new I've never seen. The fact that he's still giving utility to book games, which came out 4 years ago, shit like that to me is just showing that he's still leaning into NFTs while he's building out his cardboard and comics. So I just think they're built different.
Agreed.
I just want to shout them out.
Agreed. No, good shout out. And following up on Blue's points earlier, Mayhem just shared this in chat. FIFA is using Avalanche blockchain technology for ticketing and fan experiences. Ava Labs president John Woo says FIFA is leveraging Avalanche for loyalty programs, ticket access, and related World Cup functionality. It's awesome. And I would love, if there's anyone that's been to one of the World Cup games, I'd love to hear from, not today, I do got to get out of here, but I'd love to talk maybe tomorrow if you're available and hear about your World Cup experience and what you thought of the blockchain component. I did see. I know you mentioned Mac. I saw Green Visor Gang came back up. I do got to wrap up. I promise. We got to get out of here. But Green Visor Gang, did you want to respond to Jed's thoughts?
Love Jed. Definitely best steak in New York. But on the Azuki office, it's limited space. It's not a huge office, so pretty much they put up every Thursday consistently right now. They put up the event and first come first serve. The first 20 players. But I know their LA office is a lot bigger. But yeah, it's a first come first serve. If you don't get one of the 20 spots, you gotta just register.
That kind of changes things too, and it makes me even more bullish. That I think that's why you're building something better to limit it, and you create this. I don't want to call it fake scarcity. It's real, but when you limit available supply, in this case, there's only 20 seats. That's better than we have 1,000-seat arena and 20 people show up. That would be bearish. But if it's at capacity, then, and it's also like it's new. Maybe they want to make sure that everyone there understands the game. They're able to ask questions. They're able to provide that white glove type service, and much easier to do that with 20 people than it is 200. So I appreciate you sharing that. That's very helpful data point. Go ahead, Jed.
I just want to put you on the spot, Cap. We're coming up on 250 daily show me and list, and you are one of the people that inspired me to do spaces. Took me years to press the button on request to come on the stage. So I really would love to get you on the fireside sometime in the next month and a half.
Yeah, let's do it. Congrats on 250, man. That's awesome. That's an incredible milestone, and much respect. I know it's I could show up and host a space. Anyone could do that. It's do 250 of them and then come talk to me. Enjoy the conversation today. Really, it's not often that we go till 11:15, very rarely. In fact, we went over the 3-hour mark, so I'm gonna have to, you all are gonna owe Payne some flowers, because actually I think it doesn't break things like it used to. We used to have it was almost impossible to get a podcast out if we went over 3 hours. It broke everything. But I think now that we're since we went streaming, I think we've eliminated that issue. You can tell I'm the brains of the operation. It's a joke. But really, truly enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate everyone's passion on both sides. I also, we haven't said it for a while, but you mentioned Steve, and I greatly appreciate everyone's ability to disagree. Almost everyone. I got called a douche today in the comments, so most of you are able to disagree without being disagreeable, and I greatly appreciate that. That's one thing we pride ourselves on. I clap back a little bit, but you call me a douche, I'm going to clap back a little, and I'm going to call you out on shit if you're gonna make actually incorrect statements about me or other Bored Ape Yacht Club members because of the PFP we chose to rock. Good luck building in this space. You don't have to like apes, you don't have to like the club, you don't have to own a club, but make fun of us and take shots at us, come at us for no reason other than the PFP we hold. Good luck. Good luck. You can do it, but I don't know why you would want to alienate or cut off a large chunk of the remaining active participants in NFTs. So that's just my 2 cents. Yeah. Especially people who actually care about art and support artists and amplify artists on this space hundreds of times. As recently as last week, we were hyping up Imlo. I don't make a dime off Imlo. I'm not trying to get in profits off hyping Imlo's art. In fact, of all the artists I've supported in this space, I don't know if I've sold a single piece. I've sold NFTs from PFP collections, and yes, those are artists. But if someone's dropping a one-on-one, if I go support an artist and, because they're here, they show up and they're, amplify them, and I go buy a piece of their art, maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to say this with 100% certainty because there's a chance I've sold one, but 90+% of any art that I bought because an artist is bringing their art on chain, I've bought it, I've vaulted it, I have zero expectations of profit. I don't, it's not something I'm buying so I can sell and make something off an artist's back, which is fine to do that. There's never any sell shaming, but before you make claims like that, check the chain. I have multiple, not all my wallets are public, but there's multiple public wallets that you can find quite literally 10,000 plus NFTs in, many of which are artists. And there's, you can see the sales I've had too. And most of those are just PFP collections or, something that had nothing to do with an individual artist, or very little to do with an individual artist, I should say, if I ever sold it. But anyways, I'll end my rant there. It was mostly an enjoyable show. And 99% of you were able to disagree without being disagreeable. Sorry if I offended you. Actually, I'm not sorry. I didn't do anything that was out of line, I don't think. So no sorries today. I'll apologize if I actually did something that I shouldn't have done. But come at me. I'll come back at you. And if you can't handle the heat, then I don't know. What's the saying? something like that. Don't if you can't handle it, don't bring it. Anyways, on that note, I hope you all have a wonderful Monday. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Actually, before I saw Loki come up. Loki, is there anything you want to add to this conversation today? Loki's a great one, been supporting NFTs every Sunday. Him and Proof Alpha DGen and Machiavelli host a great NFT space that, you talk about passionate, active participants in the space. You can find several of them there each and every Sunday. But Tuesday link, it's pinned up top. Go smash that reminder as we play out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, announcing our new partner. Really excited about this one, or old partner. Someone we've done some stuff with, and announcing a new campaign tomorrow. Really excited about it, especially if you're a builder in the space, maybe even an artist. We'll have a chance to feature you free of charge because of the generosity of one of our partners. But thank you all for being here. Really enjoyed the conversation, and we'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.